Okay. We live. I just wanted to, off rip here, as the kids would say. Thank Ollie Moss, the illustrious Ollie Moss, for a Prime sub while I was offline. And One Sends, or Onisens, both of you. Hit me with the subs while I'm offline. That's an epic gamer move right there. Really appreciate it. All right. Yeah, so today it's back into the study hole. I'm super looking forward to this again. Like, I had a busy morning full of all sorts of nonsense, and now I just get to like focus on art, and I get to start a brand new piece. And today might even be special because I might start two pieces today. Because I was a little frustrated with me dragging ass yesterday on this study where I had really good progress on it for the first hour. And I was like, oh, this is so easy. I'm just killing it today. And then I looked up and it was 2.5 hours, and I was like feeling lost and fucking around with it. And so today I want to see if I can pin it down a little faster, keep this study closer to 1 hour, which is something I've said many times and never accomplished. I think I did it once. And then, hey, Dammy Killer. And then I'm going to try to start on a new painting. Who was it? Jico was asking yesterday about how do you bring in a pencil sketch into Photoshop? Isn't that annoying? Is there like a good way to do it? And I was like, of course there's a good way to do it. Like, because for me, I start all of my like mainline paintings, not all, I've made exceptions, but like almost universally, I start off my paintings in pencil. And I think that pencil's just a superior way to draw from digital for drawing. I think that sketchbook is just like the best tool in the world that's ever been invented for it. And so that's what I do, and that's what I recommend to other people. Give a try, especially if they are kind of early in their development. I think that learning on a sketchbook is super valuable. I think painting digitally is like the greatest ever, but I think like drawing traditionally is really, really important. So I'm going to put a new drawing up on the board, and I'm going to screw around with it and see if I can't get some kind of progress I'm going to stick with. Because in the past, I've had trouble like doing work on stream and then having to basically roll it back or dump it, because I get self-conscious when I know people are watching me, and it's made me paint worse. But I've been getting a lot of painting experience live on stream, both like first on Discord and now here on Twitch. It's been a, I feel like I might have my sea legs, so I'm gonna give it another shot and see if I can't get that rolling. Because if that's possible, it opens up like a whole new avenue for me to do two jobs at the same time, which is like my whole thing. So I'm gonna see what I can do before 1 p.m. Eastern on this thing, and then it's off to try out making some progress on the Strength Tarot. So Jazz, did you see? Dustin's been pretty busy this week, so I got the sketchbook thread set up this morning.
Oh, fantastic.
I sent out a little announcement to it's like gated to all of like the admins and big brains and stuff. But and Twitch subs. The other thing I did this morning is I connected so that anybody who subbed on Twitch actually gets a role here on the Discord. And so Twitch subs now we're going to start to find ways of like rewarding Twitch subs here on the Discord, so that like there's another reason to do it. Because like I really appreciate when people sub, but I want to provide some value back other than just me hanging out here tap dancing for you guys. But yeah, I'm excited for the sketchbook. I'm planning on throwing my studies in there in addition to the dailies. And then I'm also going to like throw in sort of like sketches and works in progress in there as well, to try to like, because I really want the people who are getting into art for the first time here on Huckleberry to like have a place to catalog their progress and share like what they're working on, even if it's not like a big finished thing. It's not like a huge project.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be sort of similar to like the dailies at first, I guess, because like it takes a long time to see progress. But can you imagine in like a couple years how cool those sketchbooks are gonna be?
Oh yeah, it's one of those things that's going to be really slow to develop. But I mean, I the dailies, the big difference between the sketchbook and the dailies is that the sketchbook is threaded based on user. So like you could have like your daily studies all in a line, and then somebody could come into the thread and like offer you feedback for you specifically on the studies. Anya's here. My wife Anya's here in the chat today. Um,
Hey, Anya.
the that way, like, with the dailies, it's like if you're in there every day, you can be responding to somebody and like develop a little bit of a rapport with them. But like in the sketchbook, it's like the way it's threaded, I think is going to be better for people to like get feedback and learn. Oh my god, I'm talking instead of drawing. Oh, I'm just realizing I just put a ticking clock on myself and then decided to like yell into the mic instead of actually doing the thing that I was like saying I was going to do.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to turn you up instantly. Can you get close to the mic? Sweetheart, dear, sweetie pie,
Abe.
babe.
That my only issue is that if I'm closer to the mic, I cannot paint.
You have to lean into the mic when you want to say something profound.
Okay.
Are you like painting traditionally? You mean like digital painting?
No, she means watercolors.
Oh, okay. Cool.
When Anya says
I was
painting, she
kinda-
always means watercolors, or maybe gouache sometimes.
Or
kind of
acrylics.
wanted. Sorry, you say your thing.
Or acrylics.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I've like wanted to get into watercolor for a long time because I do tons of like ink drawings, but I like never seem to get around to it.
Oh my god, I've been telling Anya that she should do like a watercolor corner here on the server.
Oh. Okay. I mean, that's something I'd pay attention to if it were to materialize.
You said pay, and I got really excited. Then you said attention to, and I was like, oh.
I'm like, oh, immediately.
I will like attention currency.
Yeah. We're in the attention economy here.
It's a good thing. Otherwise, then I'd be completely broke.
Yeah, Anya has recorded some stuff as like working on a watercolor course at some point, so that people can like buy a course if they want to. But like honestly, we've talked a lot about just like having there be a day that's like hanging out on the Discord or on stream or something, like doing watercolor, because we've got the setup to be able to do it. The big part before was like it was summer vacation and there was absolutely no time with the kids in the house always. But now we're starting to get back towards like we've got a very different day than we did like a month ago.
I feel like the routine is not quite there yet, though.
Yeah. We're developing it, but like we're in this. This is why I've been so ambitious with my routine the last like couple of weeks, is because this is like the time where we have to develop the good habits. We got to set like a good precedent early.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, Pete, I've been trying to like paint that like drawing I did of like the girl with the dragon or whatever.
Yeah.
So hard. Painting is so hard for me. I don't know. Like,
I think that whenever something's really, really hard, it's usually because you have set it up to be hard. Not you personally, but like generally, I find that like when something is like feels extra punishing, it's not because like the thing itself is the problem. It's the thing before the thing. So it's like, I wonder if you need to kind of like prep your space, like prep your surface differently to get into the painting portion.
you're probably not wrong. That drawing I did, like, the intention behind it was to get closer to that like Hamsun Chul guy, like his style of drawing,
Uh-huh.
which has a lot of like hatching to like indicate little form shadows and reflections and things.
Yeah.
So I kind of like did a lot of the painting in the drawing step.
And
So,
now you're
like,
trying to paint it, but not paint it.
yeah, and like you can get away with kind of like screwing things up a lot when you're like doing that like painterly style of drawing. Like you can kind of suggest, right, like a bunch of like form shadows or whatever, and
Yeah.
have them like not actually.
But
be
then when
clear.
you actually need to like go put them in, they need to be in the right spot, and it's like,
Yeah.
do I make corrections? Is this fucking with something I've already done? Yeah.
And it's like managing like a complicated layer stack in like Krita or Photoshop is always the worst. Like, oh, okay, I need to like change the shape of the rim light. That, like, ideally it should be as easy as like you just select a color and then like paint some stuff in there, but instead it's like, okay, I gotta find the layer the rim light's on, and then I gotta change the shape of it by, chipping away at it with a brush. Okay, that's done, but now it doesn't match up to like the line hatching where like I implied some rim light, so I have to go like change the drawing now. Which layer is that on?
Yeah, because like that shit's not painting. That's like that's you acting as like your own, personal assistant. Like that's you acting as like a secretary for your painting.
Yeah, and it's just tricky to balance, but I really want that look. Like, there's all these anime drawings that have like little like cross hatching and sort of the like foreshadows and like mostly core shadows, cast shadows, areas where there's like a lot of occlusion. And then they've like painted underneath it. It always looks really cool, but like I don't know how to do it without frustrating myself and getting stuck on things for like 7 hours.
The trick in most cases is to figure out what do you need to do in order to like have it all make sense and like to go quickly. Because when it turns into this like process of trying to this whole like project of balancing layers, it's too frustrating. It loses the creative aspect of it. And it just becomes too much of a annoying, like frustrating, like time waster to like feel like you're want to do it every day. All of the shuffling shit around should be in service of you doing something cool, rather than it being like just a pain in the ass for the sake of it.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I could just like try like painting over top of it and like being a bit more destructive for the sake of like having more control over like
that's not the suggestion necessarily. Like the suggestion is that like you need to figure out how can you set up the whole project in a way that's going to prevent you from like getting stuck and having to constantly backtrack.
Oh, okay. Fuck if I know.
Yeah, well, that's like a matter of experimentation. Like it's like you've tried out some workflows based off of tutorials you've seen online. You can try out my thing of like just staying closer to the, you keep your layer, you keep your lines pretty intact, and then maybe start like, but otherwise keep things a little bit closer to the top layer the way I do. You can give it a shot, but it's like I wouldn't presume that anything you are going to try is going to be a solution.
Okay.
It's like there's something very personal about process, that it comes down to like figuring out what's the path of least resistance in your own brain. Lazy K saying, somehow I don't have the patience to practice the basics to finally paint what I want and then abandon the whole project because it just takes too long to get some acceptable results. I think this sounds like a classic case of being focused on the destination and not the journey. The key, one of the reasons why I've really been enjoying like telling everybody to do these studies is because it's like what is the destination of this really? Like theoretically being like a quote unquote good artist. Because like, I mean, I feel like we've kind of, there's not really like a suggestion that is like an attainable goal. Like we're always going to have things we need to learn and judgments about ourselves and whatever. Like the kind of point of it is to like, appreciate the way in which like we're spending our time making a thing. spending an hour or two pushing pixels around is the whole point for me of doing this. Like I'm leveling up, I'm getting better, or I'd say I'm working out while I'm doing it. Like it's a workout. But like part of the reason I've enjoyed getting back in the gym is because it makes me feel good more of the time. Like it's not. I'm excited for the gains or whatever, but like the main reason why I think it's like going to work out long term is because it's better than sitting around and watching YouTube videos. Like going through an exercise routine is like way more satisfying and like pleasurable than like sitting around and getting like and feeling worse about myself. And like with the art stuff, it's like, you have the capacity to go in there and make a new painting in the next hour. If you've got an hour to sit down at a computer and hang out and do a study, you're going to have a brand new painting finished in an hour. And you're going to have like some ups and downs. It's going to be a little bit of a dramatic experience while you're working on it. You're going to dislike stuff. You're going to criticize yourself. But then you're also going to like have accomplished something and feel good about it. And there's some really good vibes that come with like hanging out and working on a painting. And over time, long term, let's say like 30 days minimum, you're going to see some results. Like you're going to get something out of it. Like that's going to stick with you. But like in order to get to that longer term outcome, it's always got to be about like the time you spend there at the desk, pushing the paint around, pushing the pixels around. That's the game.
Yeah.
So I'd say like, you have an idea of something that you want to draw, give it a shot. If you want to get better at drawing, mix that up with some studies. And like between the two, you have the potential to like get better all the time. It's like a fun way to spend an hour.
Sometimes you don't need to consider how you're feeling about paintings. Just gotta crunch on those feelings and do it, whether you like it or not.
But also you just don't need to worry about whether or not you are achieving like this grand goal of like, I have this IP, I have this idea for a movie or a comic or whatever, and I need to tell the world about it, and I need to like make it perfect. It's like, yeah, that's not what we're doing here. Even like the professional artists that like make their own IP full time, like me, that's like not what I'm doing here right now.
Person in the chat who asked the question earlier, I don't remember exactly how it was phrased, but I think I used to have the same problem that you're describing, and I used to beat myself up about it constantly and feel like I'd never be able to like make anything, because like every time I sat down to make something, it would be bad, I wouldn't like it, I wouldn't know how to like stick with a piece and like get it to like a decent level of finish, and so I had tons and tons of like little scraps of things that like never got done. It feels like impossible at the time, but like eventually you do manage to climb out of it just by like trying over and over again, and all your failed attempts, like they're not going to waste. You're getting a little bit closer every time. Pete always suggests like just giving yourself permission to spend like an infinite amount of time on a piece as like a cheap, I wouldn't say easy, but like a way of leveling up. I've also had great success doing literally the opposite, which is just setting a time limit so that I can like, I can suffer through failing to make a good finished painting or whatever for a while, and then there's some point at which the suffering ends and I'm allowed to like pat myself on the back and move on to something that's like not quite as painful. And like doing that over and over again, like my paintings started to get a lot better over time, and I got way better at drawing very fast, like much faster than I thought I could. So
yeah, one of the things I want to add to the community on the Discord is like a weekly painting challenge where it's like you have 1 week to go ahead and try to make like the best possible submission for the challenge. And the goal is not to like be the best artist on the server. The goal is to try to like have a new finished piece every week that you can say that you did it. Add it to your sketchbook thread, show it off to your friends and family. That's kind of the point. Like, because we're not going to be doing voting to say like who wins. There's no winning at it other than like, this is like running a 5K. I guess they do podiums or whatever at some of them, but like we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be making this stuff for the sake of like saying that we did. Like, that's what I mean. That's the best part. There's no winning at art. Even if everyone in the community voted that you were like the best artist or whatever, you wouldn't be like happy forever afterwards. You'd just be like, you'd doubt them and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and like what you're going through, like not being able to finish paintings in a way that you're satisfied with or whatever, it's completely normal. Everyone's gone through some variation of it at some point. So like, don't beat yourself up and don't think that like, I'll never finish anything because I haven't finished anything yet. Just keep trying.
Oh yeah. And like finished is is a pretty relative term.
Yeah. Because it kind of feels impossible now, it doesn't mean it actually is.
This pose is crazy. It's so off kilter.
Oh. Well, you can't always study well-adjusted poses. Some of them gotta be a little crazy.
Yeah, I kept bailing out on like doing portrait studies. It was like a full body because I was like, oh, face ones are easier. I'll just do that. And so now like twice in 3 days, because I started just doing the ones from Today is the Day, which I also announcement. Today is the Day. I changed the channel type to an announcement channel, which means that you can subscribe to it. So if you want to get a notification every time I post the new reference, you can go to Today is the Day on the Huckleberry server. Oh wait, I also did this. It's a button that does this now. Hell yeah. And then you can go there and see what the new reference is every single time. Just hit the subscribe button or follow button over on the Today is the Day channel.
Is there any chance you could explain what the sketchbook tab is a little bit more?
Sure. So the sketchbooks are a way that people can track their progress over long term by posting up their new finished pieces, their sketches, their studies, whatever they're making all in one spot that's like threaded, and they're going to have a thread all to themselves. So you make a new thread with your name on it, and then you update that thread, and people can also come in and give you feedback, or you can, I have a tag on there for people to solicit critique. So it's probably a better spot to solicit critique than the critique board at the moment, because like it's going to create a long-term record of your progress.
Oh man, I'm tempted to like upload my entire like library of like speed paintings that I saved in chronological order.
You could do that, I guess. But I think you should just upload your new speed paintings as you develop them. I mean, I was thinking about you when I was putting this up, because I know that you make like new designs so regularly that like you would have a better format for doing that, so that people could see the kind of like total context of what you're working on, rather than like a snapshot from the dailies.
All right. Yeah, maybe I'll just like start today.
Because the dailies are really good for like the post where everyone's doing the same reference and you get to see the difference between all of them. But for people who like you or like Jake Frames is like, I think it's harder to figure out what you're doing. And like there's a certain question of like, are you really doing this every day? You know, like when it's these like more finished concepts. That's true of a few users on here that are doing like really elaborate concept pieces every single day. And I think that's like the sketchbook is going to show off what's interesting about what you guys are up to more so than the dailies channel.
I also actually haven't been keeping up with doing them every day. Maybe it'll motivate me to like do that. Cause I keep being like, no, it has to look good for Twitter, and then I like spend like a few days
like Twitter loves you, like Twitter fucking cares.
Yeah.
And be like, no, this is the one that's gonna make Twitter love me. You don't understand. No, Twitter cares about me. You guys are all wrong.
There is no Twitter.
That's true. There is no Twitter. Twitter doesn't exist. Twitter was killed in an airplane crash and over international waters, and no one ever found the body.
Now we just have this X.
Yeah, Twitter was eaten by coconut crabs. Oh man, Ash came in yesterday and we immediately got on the topic of like how to create a kind of like powder that to sell to people as like to make them better at art that's like made up. And at first I thought it was going to be like maybe it was going to be made of ground up like master artists. Like we take like we dig up all the Renaissance masters and we grind up their mummified corpses into like a powder that we could sell to people on the black market. And then
no. The way you like sell pseudoscience-y stuff in the modern age, like people know that like you can't just like
snort
guys.
Yeah, you can't just snort like the remnants of Michelangelo and get better at sculpting.
Yeah, people know that. So what you have to do is make something that sounds sorta like it could be sciencey, but isn't at all.
Well,
right?
but we immediately went away from human remains and were immediately considering like maybe grinding up like an artistically talented elephant or something.
Oh.
And then it would be like
I think that would also be an issue.
Like maybe that would be like so weird that it wraps back around on itself and people would start to believe it. I don't know.
Well, what were you gonna say? For if we were gonna really get the pseudoscience crowd to buy in?
Yeah. Like you gotta I unironically think that like if you were to go around selling like some sort of herbal supplement that like unlocks the like alpha pathways in your brain or some shit.
Alpha pathways. Keep talking.
Like some percentage of people would buy it. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, of course. The brain has to like learn after you're done drawing or whatever." And like if my alpha pathways are really jacked, then the I don't know, beta neurons or some shit will like really kick in and I'll get good at art 37% faster, like this study that like Pete.
And so are you telling me I can buy these right now?
Right now.
But for a limited time only.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah. Drop a link in the chat.
I need that for sure.
Yeah, what's funny, they do already sell nootropics. So like the idea of like they sell like nootropics for like gaming. To sell nootropics for artists is like not that crazy of an idea. I think you're right.
So.
Very Sad says that powder is AI. No, that's unethical. We're selling ethical gamer powder here for artists.
No elephants were killed.
Yeah, this is fully ethical gamer powder, okay? What if it's just G Fuel? What if we just take G Fuel and then we like repackage it into smaller packages with like covered in like Chinese writing?
Don't even have to make up a lie.
Yeah. Well, we just be like, it's energy powder. It's a nootropic formulation. It's it's PewDiePie flavored.
So
Trust
Pete,
us.
there is a way to make the elephant thing ethical. You can make a water infusion because like when something is
Uh-huh.
in water long enough, then you can get its magical properties out of it.
We just take elephant bath water.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
Dude, elephant gamer girl bathwater, art nootropics. That's untapped territory.
Pete, I think we
Wow.
have a business plan.
Yeah. When the Twitch sub money dries up, that's what we're gonna do next.
Yep.
Nobody in chat steal that idea and do it first, please. I'm not asking, I'm demanding that you do not.
My life depends on this.
Yeah.
I know it's tempting, chat, because it's such a good
Oh,
idea.
it's Huckleberry flavored. 100%. All right, I'm
People
30 minutes. I'm
definitely have
30 minutes
desire.
in. I think I got the structure down where I want it. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to speed through the rest of this.
You said you're trying to do it within an hour today?
Uh huh.
Ooh.
I'm fucked.
Tall order.
I'm calling bullshit. There's no way.
No way. We'll see.
There's
we'll
no
see.
way.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm also gonna struggle to do something in an hour. Lady's
I
armor
agree with-
is rather detailed. And I have no one to blame but myself.
I'm gonna cheat my ass off to try to get the last structural fixes here. Wait.
Hey Pete, have you ever tried doing graffiti?
No, I want to try because I think I wouldn't have too hard of a time with the cans. I think like I've had an easy time with acrylic, and so laying down kind of like if I can actually I don't know. Yeah, I want to give it a shot. I think I could probably do better than the average person who's never done art before, but not as good as someone who spent a lot of time, working with spray cans.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. I've got a big wall on the back of my house that I've been asking Anya to make a mural on. And I was thinking, like, if I ever wanted to get into learning to paint with spray cans, that I have this perfect practice wall.
Damn. What's the point of graffiti if you're not gonna do it illegally?
Well, I want to get good and then I do it illegally.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah, this is
embarrassing to
better
like
idea.
be guilty of property crimes
And have it
also
look like
worse
shit.
at painting
Yeah.
than you actually are. It's like
Do an hour study with spray cans. I mean, I could live stream, but it's sweaty as shit out here in Florida right now.
It is so humid.
Okay, that's close enough. I like this cast shadow in this one a lot. And I've already got the bright yellow thing going on here. I think I'm just gonna borrow this color palette flat out.
Oh, Pete, you keep doing cancelable things, man.
Oh my god, yeah. It's racist yellow again.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Yeah, sorry guys. Feel free to clip this if you want to see me canceled on Twitter.
Think it's way too late for that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
alright.
I was so irritated later in the day after that. I'm like, I got to think about something else. I was like, I gotta not show so much irritation live on stream. But yeah, that one got me. I think now I'm inoculated against it in the future, though. If that were to ever happen again, I'd probably be able to laugh it off a lot faster.
What happened?
Somebody was saying like, "Hey, don't you think it's racist that you're using a yellow background on this painting?" I was like, "What?" But I don't think it was a troll. I think that it was like a white guy who's like trying to do like a sort of like, ally concern thing, and I was just like, this is incredibly irritating.
Are you sure it wasn't a joke? It's like one of those things that's,
No,
like,
it
dumbed
didn't
up
come
to, like,
off.
not be
It didn't come off like a joke.
Oh.
It was Alejandro was just like, is it cool to put like an?
Was
a
it
yellow
Alejandro? I
background?
thought it was somebody else.
It was Alejandro.
Okay.
I thought, and it was like, is it okay to be putting a yellow background on an Asian portrait? And we're all like, yes. Like,
Oh, I'm almost certain that he was just kidding.
IDK.
I'm almost positive that was just social awkwardness on his part.
Oh, it could be, yeah. Yeah, it's
I've
just
talked to
one.
Alejandro a decent amount. He's not the kind of dude who like pretends that like stuff is racist to like score brownie points or whatever.
Are you sure it was Alejandro? I thought it was somebody else. I thought it was like somebody who's like not as active.
It sounded like it. I could be tripping, but it really sounded like him.
I didn't think it did. I feel like Alejandro's voice is pretty distinct. I was like, how would I have messed that up? Then again, sometimes when people are nervous, their voice sounds totally different. Do you ever know somebody that like you talk to them online, you're like, I did not recognize you at all, and it was like just because they were like super tensed up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the first
me right
time
now.
I talked to you live, I was like a whiny little bitch for sure. I remember the first time I stepped up on stage at the fucking Midjourney AI thing, and I was like shaking and breathing heavy. And I'm like, what the fuck is my deal right now? Now I know Pete is just a human, not a robot alien from space.
Uh-huh. As far as you know.
Yeah, whatever.
What if the reason that all us autists are a little different is because we're all robots from outer space?
You know, that
You
checks
think about
out.
that?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
run that theory past my like autistic partner and see what she says. I think she'll probably agree.
I have a feeling that she might have to like, trank you and throw you in the back of the mothership if you bring that up.
Yep.
I would keep it to yourself.
Yep. Oh man.
Oh man. Speaking of the mothership,
Mhm.
you guys played Baldur's Gate 3?
I've been seeing all the news about it, and like I never like played any of the other Baldur's Gate games, so I didn't really have it on my radar. And now like I can't go anywhere without people talking about it in the same kind of
Okay.
reverent tones that like, when Elden Ring came out, and everyone was like, "This changes the game." Like game devs are
Okay.
mad at this company for making this game. I'm like, I don't know. That's a good sign. Maybe I should check it out.
Yeah, you start out on a weird alien mothership.
What?
I brought it up. Yeah. It's like a mind flayer vessel.
What? Are they actually from outer space, like canonically in the D&D world?
Sort of. Yeah, kind of. They're like from. It's sort of ambiguous whether it's like space or just like another dimension or whatever. But yeah, they're effectively from outer space.
I thought they were just from like underground.
They live underground. Like they're kind of stuck in like the material plane or whatever. They're like from somewhere else, but they like layer underground. Now that they've like. I don't know why they layer underground. They seem so powerful that they really ought to rule the world.
Yeah, why don't they just like go and like grab whatever land they want, and then I don't know, they can. But also, like, I can't imagine a lot of mind flayers farming. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I have all these lands and kingdoms. It's like, congratulations, Mr. Mind Flayer. Like, what are you going to grow this year? Like, I guess they eat brains or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, That's the thing about like the sort of evil races in a lot of like classic fantasy stuff, where it's like they're all insane. I'm like, okay, so how do they get food every day? do they like go grocery shopping in between like bouts of like intense insanity? Like, you know, do they like go to sleep back at their bunk in an insane way? Do they like watch insane television during their off hours?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously they don't have TV. I mean, they probably do. Warhammer's got all the technology of all kinds of crazy technology. Is it canonical that there's like no television in the Warhammer universe? I mean, do they really able to invent Space Marines and not not TV?
Wait, okay, hold on. Actually, 40K universe is based in a time where they don't actually understand their technology anymore, and there's no more creation of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand how my TV works.
Yeah, it's basically the same for me.
Like, the whole thing is that, like, 30K was, like, this big universal war, and then, like, shit hit the fan, and now they don't understand machines, so they kind of, like...
Yeah, it's like a religious thing, kind of like from... I mean, that's all stolen from Foundation.
I don't know what that is, but I believe you.
Okay. I think the first sci-fi book that did that was Foundation, and that's like a trope now.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, nothing from Games Workshop is particularly creative.
The Games Workshop stuff is like all like it's an arrangement of all of like the most fun ideas from sci-fi over 30, 40 years, all smashed together into one big menagerie.
Yeah, that definitely checks out. Like, even their fantasy universe, they had to blow it up because their IP was so weak that they had to start a whole new game with actual fucking IP, and now it's like still the same tropes, just with new names and different filigree designs. I don't know. And I love the game too. That's the shitty part.
Well, I mean, I figure if anybody around here is going to be able to answer my 40K questions, it would be you.
God,
you're going to be our resident 40K expert. So if it ever comes up, you're going to be pulled in. You don't want that?
Oh God, no.
What?
I'm not like.
Why not?
Oh man, I'm not like that. I just play the game. I don't really like look into the lore all that much. That was just like.
But that still puts you like 100 miles ahead of everyone else here.
Oh,
yep.
All right. Well, fuck it. I guess I'm that guy now. Do I need to grow a neck beard too? I'm like.
No, but you do need to spend at least 30% of your take-home income on miniatures if you don't already. I mean, you might already.
Well.
Yeah, right? So there we go. So you're set.
I definitely used to, and then I like made friends in the community, and now I get everything at distributor. And so like when I go to sell, I either make money or break even. So I can recycle my hobby money really nicely. So like, but yeah, I mean the initial investment was steep.
It's like a multi-level marketing scheme. It's like, listen, it costs a lot to get in, but once it really gets going, it's awesome. You're going to be making a lot of money from your downlines in the 40K universe.
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine, but that's okay. So what the question of what do they have and what do they not have in the 40K universe? TV, maybe not. I really think that they should. I think that especially the orcs should have television. But also, I'm pretty sure that they have multi-level marketing in the Warhammer universe.
Oh, I mean, first of all, orcs, they're actually the most technologically advanced because they will things to work.
Right, exactly. That's the multi-level marketing mindset that makes the whole thing spin.
Like, you can do this too. You know?
Yeah, only the top 1% makes money, but don't worry, that'll be you. And so they're all into it.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The orcs are always kind of the most exciting part of fantasy to me. They're the whole like spore thing where they don't actually die, they just break into a bunch of spores and replant themselves and go back is kind of cool. Yeah.
No, I don't know how I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, you didn't know that like 40K orcs are plants?
They're plants.
I didn't know that.
they're like technically herbivores because they only eat like each other and these little things called squigs, which are like orc animals that also grow from the ground.
Okay.
But like the cool part, and this is like
I know, but it's like I know that in StarCraft, the Protoss are the Eldar, the Zerg are the Tyranids, and then like the Terrans are just like the, I don't know, whatever, the Imperium.
Yeah, and like I like orcs are cool because the more kills they get, the longer they live, the bigger they get. So that's why there's size disparity in the orc hierarchy.
But this just raises a question for me of how did Blizzard fumble the bag so bad on putting orcs, a thing that they already stole from Warhammer for Warcraft. How did they not put that in StarCraft?
Yeah, it's a great
I feel like they really fucked that up. Like if they're making a StarCraft 3, they should put orcs in it. If they don't put orcs in it, it's like they're gonna get canceled again.
Dear Blizzard.
Dear
please
Blizzard.
Put orcs. Peter Mohrbacher.
Yeah. I'm going to tell, Blizzard employees, hear me now and obey. You've got to put orcs in StarCraft 3, and whatever else you're working on, just stop. Just make that instead.
You know what? I'm sure they'd go for it if you were like, hey, I'll even do the art for the orcs.
I don't think I've ever painted an orc.
Yeah,
so
I mean, you don't strike me as the artist who have painted orcs.
I think I could probably do it. I think I'd probably be. I may be. We don't know for sure, but I might be the best orc artist ever.
You might be. We don't know.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean,
It's not
there's no
been
evidence
confirmed.
against it, so.
I think it's time to see your like first orc sketch tomorrow for your daily.
No.
That's what I'm thinking.
No. We need to make sure that we never find out whether or not I'm the best orc artist in the world.
Sure. That's all right. Let you vote. I mean, I'm all for it personally. I want to see it done.
What other great 40K facts do you have for us?
Oh, the Tau are like actually you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you know like Ba Sing Se, right? Like the whole thing, like there is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like doing that to their people in the Tau universe. They're like, no, that's fantasy. That's a Lumineth Realm Lords. But anyways, yeah, like every fantasy trope that you've ever seen, ever has been like just stolen straight up by Games Workshop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no, they're like the greatest hits of the entire fantasy and sci-fi genres. Like that's what makes it good.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard to think of random ass facts without being like, well, actually, I don't know.
Well, actually,
yeah.
Tyranids are all gay.
Actually, Tyranids are cool. Fuck, I do have a random ass fact. They could be gay. I don't know, but also, like they're really cool because whatever they consume or take over, they take the best trait of that thing and turn it into a Tyranid.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
like,
that's a classic. It's a classic move.
Again. But yeah, it's cool.
But they took over a race where like the best thing about that race was that everyone was gay.
Yeah, and then all the entire Tyranid hive became gay.
Yeah,
it could happen.
Right. Yeah, it's true. It must be. I mean, Games Workshop did it. So.
Everything. Yeah.
Oh man.
Games Workshop is going to get canceled in Florida.
Okay.
All the Florida politicians are going to discover that the Tyranids are gay, and then they're going to ban them from all the malls.
Oh no. Not Florida. God, that place needs to just become its own fucking country.
No! I like being part of the United States. Fuck off.
You're there?
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
Oh shit. Well,
Florida's
I
great.
grew up in Florida
Some parts of it. Florida, everyone loves to clown on it, but also they love to come here and vacation because it's nice as
the
shit.
fuck I don't want to be caught in a hurricane.
It's like only hurricanes part of the year.
You're gonna get slapped with the worst hurricanes in history this year. Are you like?
Yeah, maybe. There's a decent chance of it. I mean, we evacuated Hurricane Ian last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Why? Like, why is that something you'd willingly do? Why don't you just
I don't know,
like
because it's nice over
go to
here.
like? If you like water, just go to Michigan.
I've been in Michigan. It gets cold in Michigan. Florida during the winter when so here's the thing, we've got kids.
So have a Florida house.
Yeah. Oh, I'll just have 8 houses and move around throughout the year. Like, I've got kids and they are in they're in school during the fall, winter, and spring. You know, and then during the summertime when it sucks in Florida, they're not in school. That's the math. That's the math equation we did. And I stick by it. Wintertime in Florida, I got my feet up, and I feel like the smartest man on the planet. I feel so good down here. Everyone else is complaining about insane blizzards and, like, shoveling snow and how miserable they are. And I'm like, well, you should stop by. It's, like, really great here right now, you know? And I'm out, like, drinking a beer out on a patio somewhere, eating a fish sandwich. I'm out riding my bike around. The weather's nice and mild. Getting a lot of outdoor time, soaking up some sun, going to go see sunsets at the beach, and everyone else is like bundled up wanting to die because of how horrendously cold it is in like Chicago or Michigan, Wisconsin. You know, it's awesome here in Florida during the winter.
That's a Chicago thing, you know? Like, they fucked up already. That was like a... like, that was a choice they made.
That's something I miss about Florida, is being able to like bike year round.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know, like, I prefer my balls not to be melting out of my shorts in the summer, so, like, you know, I don't know. It gets fucking hot down there.
It is fucking hot down here right now.
Yeah. Like,
as we speak.
I don't know. It's whatever. Also, like, weed's not legal down there, and that sucks.
Medical is...
Oh, yeah, I guess anyone can get one of those licenses, too.
Yeah, you go to the doctor, you pay him $167. I don't know how I would know that. And then you can go to the dispensary and buy it. And it's actually like half the price that it is in Chicago. Not like I would know that.
Yeah, because recreational is like way expensive compared to medical. Which is whatever. I don't know. And yeah, you're right. I don't know how I know that.
Neat how information just pops into your head sometimes, Pete.
It's funny how I know things that I have no personal experience with.
Yeah.
Zero.
Interesting.
I have zero. I have never smoked the marijuanas.
Yeah. The devil's lettuce.
Yeah, fuck that devil's lettuce.
Don't do drugs, children. It's Ace.
Damn.
Ace, don't do drugs.
What?
It makes you dumber
I
and
don't
worse at
want
art.
Although it would be really
Don't
cool
worry,
if
don't
you
worry.
did, but don't do it.
Yeah.
If you want to get good at art,
I
you need
would
to
look
stay
cool.
sober. That's actually the
Holy-
truth. Like, some people
man.
they brag on like how, like oh, this stuff makes me more creative or whatever. No, it's like learning to make art sober is the only way to do it. There's no like tortured
Sure.
artist thing. It's just like you just have to like you got to put in the work. There's no shortcuts. Except if we're gonna snort ground up elephant powder, like we're gonna be selling. Wait, what was it that we were gonna sell again? It was just gonna be the
Elephant
PewDiePie
water.
like G Fuel.
They sat in water and now we drink it. That's
yeah, the elephant gamer girl bathwater.
What if we do like an IV drip bag?
That doesn't sound food safe. I mean, I don't think I would be.
Now you're just drinking elephant water, so I.
It's just non-zero amount of elephant feces.
Is that the line? Not food safe.
Yeah.
We've surpassed that. When
I
we
mean,
start, you know.
if you're taking somebody else's water, then it's probably not food.
It's not a
safe.
person's water. It's from the zoo.
Yeah.
That's
It's the same.
That's worse. I don't know if you've been.
You don't sound like an expert to me. I don't know why I'm listening to you.
You know what? You're right. That's all.
Yeah.
Last time I was at a zoo, I got like very depressed because I saw this bear having like a conniption, and he just kept trying to like escape, and it was sad as fuck. It's a damn shame.
Where do you think he was headed?
I don't know, not there, that's for sure. Like, give him the fuck out. It was sad. I don't know, I don't like zoos. Anyways, yeah, I mean, nice. This is good art stream. Actually, I had another relevant business question. It's kind of like weird.
Please.
Have you heard of BackerKit?
Yes, I've used BackerKit.
Okay. I was talking to my boss, who's like also like just always starting new businesses rather successfully, and he was like, if I had to go with a crowdfunding site, I think I'd go with BackerKit this time.
BackerKit is like an adjunct to Kickstarter.
Right. I think the idea is that it's supposed to be like a more personalized experience, and like that's the big draw. And it's also like updated UI and like all that jazz. And on one side, I'm like, I don't think I give a fuck about that because I don't necessarily care about the experience of it all. I just care about having as many eyes on my thing as possible, and I think
Right.
Kickstarter does that better.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But
Like,
like,
I don't know.
you can run like the whole point. BackerKit exists because there's some shortcomings in like the Kickstarter UI,
Yeah.
and it allows you to do some extra things that should be default on Kickstarter, but they're like very shy about adding in all of the options that you would want to be able to
Right.
run it well. I don't know why. I don't know what their deal is. They've added some of them over the years, and so I'm not entirely sure what BackerKit's deal is recently. As I said, I've been out of the game a little bit on that stuff.
Right.
Hey, Peter, how's that floofy hair on that model study treating you? The floofy hair, I'm like starting off with like, I'm going to define a few key areas on it, and then I'm going to let it get really, really soft. Like one of the things I've enjoyed doing on some of these is to, what do you call it? To like actually like exaggerate areas of softness, because like it's really, really easy to cut in hard edges, but to have a nice balance of edges is what I ultimately want to do. So I really love an opportunity to make like mega overly soft edges. And so one of the things I'm going to do here before it's over is instead of trying to draw a ton of loose, like soft hair strands, I'm going to let it get like really, really overly soft. And, I've got some warm tones in here that was already kind of mixing in for like these oranges, and use that rather than it going to gray. And I think that could look really good with the yellow background.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Peter, could you tell me about Turtle Rock Studios?
The what studios?
Turtle Rock?
Elderock AEG?
No, Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock Studios. I don't know anything about them. Why?
Matt Colville used to work at.
I don't know. I've heard from somebody who used to work there that they give their employees some creativity. They let them do what they want, and the requirements are not as high as Riot and all those other AAA ones.
That's news to me. I haven't really paid attention to what the different game studios are like. I haven't had enough consecutive failures to seriously consider getting a studio job in a while. You can quote me on that. If you ever see me going for a studio job, I'm either really bored or really poor. Like having a lot of financial failures in a row.
Just absolute despair.
Yeah, it's like it's a kind of like break in case of like financial distress option that I've had like kind of looming, just because like it's like the right choice for most people as like a first line of attack, and for me it's like it's just not where I go to first. Like there's other things I would rather be doing rather than like working on a studio project. But
weird.
It's like, I mean, it depends. It's a personal, employment and money is like a very personal thing, and so it's like I'm not saying that it's like a worse option broadly. Just for me personally, I would rather be working on my own stuff just for myself at a company I own rather than like at a larger Studio. Oh, and I'm at 1 hour.
Yeah.
So I like almost. This is like almost a study. I'm gonna give it another 15. I'm gonna give myself another 15 minutes because I'm the boss and I get to say so. I'm also doing this live where I'm like chit-chatting and stuff. It's slowing me down. Thinking a lot about tyrannids.
Oh my god, not the gay tyrannids again.
Dude, I don't know why you have a problem with their sexuality.
What? Me? Wait, what?
You're the one who keeps bringing it up. Thanks, Summer Dragoness.
Oh man, I'm having a hard time breaking out of like just using this like square brush you told me not to use for painting. I'm like doing another study and I'm just doing the same thing I always do, except I'm painting over the line work earlier than like I normally would.
It really is. It really do be like that. Like it's like you. It's like, okay, well, I can't figure out how to paint. Like, let me just slightly swap out the like the moment where I choose to like switch from like line art to painting.
Yeah.
The way that I typically try to train people to like figure out what's right for them is I ask them to complete 7 paintings a week for me, and then wait until something changes. There's usually just like a pressure that builds up, and they like start making different choices. But you're capable of finishing 7 pieces a week kind of comfortably. So, you know, you definitely already have a process that works for you in some capacity that you can lean back on. So it's like, to me, like the way I see it is that you're trying to expand your tool set rather than like completely reinvent yourself, because you already have like the ability to make a lot of art at a high level pretty quickly.
Sort of. It's not as polished I would like. I get through like the first phases of a thing really easily, but when it comes time to like, okay, how do I make this look like it could be an asset in a video game, right? Like, really polish it up, I get stuck.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what you want to get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who are like popular on the internet where like all they do is like speed paintings that like you can see all the tool marks and stuff on them.
Yeah.
They're not that highly rendered. It's just the designs are cool, the colors are cool. They're like drawn pretty good.
There's that, but then also like, you know, a lot of the stuff that you're showing me for references is like art where it's like rough watercolor over the top of pencil drawing, like refined pencil drawings.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like it's not like that one tutorial we're watching, the Korean tutorial or the Chinese tutorial where it was like super intense micro rendering using like all kinds of procedural tools. Like
Yeah.
the stuff you really like seems to be a little bit more like loose, expressive.
Yeah, it's like there's this style I like that's like popular for JRPGs where it's like pretty close to like a digital version of just like ink and watercolor.
Yeah.
And I really like.
I think
Like-
that I said at the beginning of this stream that like if you're running into really serious problems, it probably has to do with what you did on the previous step, not what you're doing on the current step. And I think that what I've seen so far suggests that I might be right there, because like one of the references you've shown me, they have very particular ways of doing the drawing so that very simple watercolor washes underneath accomplish that look. Well, you tend to be a little bit like you tend to approach the drawing differently. Like you're adding different stuff in the hatching, you're defining different features in the drawing. And so like I think it's like the way you're finishing the drawing coming into the painting step that's causing you the issues.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Part
So
of it is
if you could figure out a way to see some of these references without the painting step on them and just look at how they're being drawn, I think you might have a clearer insight into like what you need to be doing before you get to painting.
okay. Maybe that'd be a good thing to do a study of.
Or I mean, just as terms of reference for like having up like as you're like making your next piece, like instead of worrying about this one Princess and the Dragon piece, like I would presume that like when I'm mentoring somebody, like not only am I trying to get them to do a lot of art, but we're also not revisiting pieces week to week. So if you're stuck on it and you're like, I can't finish this the way I want to finish it, like, okay, well that's it. That one's a failure then. Like you just move on to the next one. Oh man, Spook Moon's End. Thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. We were watching some. Punapin is wondering like what I'm talking about with this tutorial. I don't have access to it anymore. You like were linking to some tutorial on how to make like Chinese mobile game art that's like hyper rendered.
Yeah.
And we were watching them like do a speed paint of it, and I was melting down because it was such a weird process.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't, when I first like found that tutorial, I was like trying to learn how to like paint digitally better, and I was like, oh, I guess this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I guess
but
this is
it's
what
so
digital
different
painting looks
from,
like.
Yeah, and I was just like beating myself up because it's like I don't even know how to get started with this. Like I have to relearn everything I know so far about painting.
Yeah, and all the interfaces in Chinese, which doesn't help trying to like backwards engineer it.
Yeah.
I think you've just answered this before, so sorry if this is redundant. Pete, do you always work in a grayscale like value sketch before working into like a full painting, like
yes.
Even on your fully rendered stuff? Yes. Okay.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like the more involved and more I care about the results, the more I would never ever consider going straight into color. Like me adding a little bit of color that's like not part of like a a color mode layer, like me having added some yellow on this purse is like me like getting wild. This is my version of like having like a big wild moment, because like it is such an essential part of like how I work that I like always start with black and white first. It has been for years and years.
I'm like tempted to try that on my next go at a painting.
Oh,
The
totally.
problem is-
Everyone should try that. Like, it's not for everyone, but it's for a lot of people. It's not a very weird thing.
I've done it in the past on miniatures. I just like the saturation that I get when I work in like color first on miniatures, but in a digital space, it seems like you can work in color on top of a grayscale, and you can still make it like super saturated. That's like I think that's like really the beauty of like digital painting, in my opinion, coming from a different medium, is that I can literally glaze in full saturated colors, which is wild to me.
Yeah. It's the people think that
great.
the beauty of digital is the ability to undo stuff, but if anybody who's had experience with like traditional media will like actually marvel at very, very different aspects of it, because like it's like this idea of like being able to paint in a way that's like indelible but also infinitely thin is like totally wild. Like your ability to make like a mark that is 100% opaque but also easily removed is like really, really wild. Like there's all kinds of really like things that are like dead easy digitally that like just have to do with the challenges of the sort of material science of like physical paint. And yeah, that's like what ultimately makes digital like such an incredible tool, is like the ways in which it defies the physics of painting. Or not the physics, more so just like the chemistry of painting. Like a lot about paint is like learning to paint is like understanding the behavior of the materials and understanding like what it looks like under a microscope and how things interact with each other physically. Like there is a lot of that. And in digital, it's like you get to throw that all away and have it be like this playful wonderland where nothing, like you can theoretically do anything as long as you can imagine it. Like there's a way of recreating that process that does that, and there's no limitations on the physicality of it.
Yeah, it's like super exciting. The problem is I don't know how to draw, so I want someone to provide me with a grace, like a piece that I can like just work on.
I mean, you can take a line art or something and just study that, like do a painting for it, or like find a sketch or something and just like play around with somebody else's thing. Like people do that all the time.
Paint my dragon princess for me.
Ooh, that's a lot of non-metallic metal that. Oh, that's such a miniature term that like I have no reason to say here because everything's non-metallic metal here. Rendering metal is always hard. It's not. That's like a volumes understanding thing that isn't particularly easy. Specular light isn't like a simple thing to comprehend.
No,
Well,
it's tough.
At like a base level it is, but in a practical sense, it's like really stupid.
It's a slightly more difficult mental model than matte materials. But yeah, jazz. It was like, what were we talking about a minute ago? We were talking about you.
Oh, I'm just like settling into the same habits I always do when I like do a study, even though you like told me to like try not doing some of them, but I like,
Oh,
yeah. It's kind of working out. I like where this is going.
but like, oh yeah. So I was saying like, instead of worrying about like how are you going to like make this like dragon princess thing work, the trick is that you just say like, well, this process, whatever got me to this point, didn't work, and then you start over. Like you do your best to finish the pieces like in the time that you give yourself. Like let's say it's a week, and then if you're not getting it, then you just move on. You start a new one. You say like you finish it with whatever method you can. You do your best with it, and then like if it's not there, then you just like say, well, fuck it, that one, that's not it. Like time to start again and see if I can get it to like work on the next one.
Okay, I was doing that while I was like growing my like following on like DeviantArt. I was just like, oh well, this really rewards like frequent uploads, so I'm just going to like have a new finished painting every week.
Yeah, and then like you have experiments and some of them work out, some of them don't, and then like you fold in all the stuff that works, and then you just sort of like downplay the ones that don't, and they just keep moving.
Yeah, it's weird. I kind of felt like I wasn't improving at the time, but like I've just been like changing some things up lately because I was like dissatisfied with the lack of progress I was making during like that period.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I like leveled up a lot in like the last little while, even though I maybe haven't been practicing like as much. I don't know. Like maybe there was like it was unlocking stuff in the back of my head that I wasn't like fully aware of.
Yeah, some of it's subconscious. Like you just you don't always know what you know. Like sometimes when you just go to do something, you realize like you're getting a way better result. You didn't even realize it was easier.
Yeah. Oh man, something that happens to me a lot too is I'll be working on a painting. This was happening to me with the like Dragon Girl. I was working on it and like using a technique that was like similar to something I'd sort of tried and failed at in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, damn it, I didn't learn anything. What the hell? I still suck at this. But I was like, why don't I check? Because there's this thing that's happened to me before where I forget how bad I was in the past. Yeah, and I like pulled up the stuff, like the last attempts I made, and it's like, oh, I got way better at it. Like, but you kind of forget.
Yeah, no, it's like self-assessment is actually really tough, especially over like a long time span.
Yeah.
One thing I'm surprised that 2D artists don't do more, like it's very common in miniature painting to take a picture and then always like shut the saturation to 0 to actually like get a better grasp of your contrast and your volumes. But I don't see like many 2D artists like actually do that.
It happens a lot, and like if I were to be doing it, I would do one of these where I make a color layer and I fill it with black, and then I can just have that on the top of the stack. And I can turn that on and off to test it.
Interesting. Okay, that's dope.
It's really fast to be able to do that in Photoshop.
Yeah.
So it's something that it's like if I feel like I'm struggling with it, I will make one of those, but I usually don't have it by default.
That's a cool feature. I have to like take the time, find good lighting, take a photo.
Yeah.
the whole fucking thing. I want to send you a miniature,
Okay.
and I want like you to paint it so bad. I'm just like curious.
Oh, like if I'm any good at it?
Like just no, it's not about good or bad. I
Like
want to
what it
see
would
how
look
many-
like if I tried to do mini painting?
Yeah, like I want to see transferable skills, and I think most of them
That's
are.
that's fucking content, dude. Like I should do that.
Um,
Because I'm trying to
I mean-
get people who've never painted before on Twitch to like play along with me, and like, and do that, but for digital painting. So
Yeah.
like me doing that for other skills is like totally content. Like,
Ooh,
that
good YouTube video title, like professional artist.
professional
Mini
digital
painting.
painter tries to paint mini for the first time or something.
Yeah.
yeah, I am like also I want to see the opposite. Like I want to see a miniature painter given like a line art and just see how good they are at digital painting. Because I mean, partly selfish reasons, like I'm just like really curious about it, but also like, you know, are these skills practical and like applicable amongst different mediums, and is that maybe like hope for people that feel like, well, I do this, I could never do that. That
There's-
actually they can do that.
There's high level transferable skills that I think cross even between like any creative medium, like a musician or a programmer trying to learn like painting would have a little bit of a leg up on somebody who's never done anything creative before,
Yeah.
because there's like high level kind of creative problem solving that definitely carries over. If you hear creative people from different disciplines chit chat, they'll always be like, yes, that's totally how it is for me too. So I've been really curious, like if somebody who's like a YouTuber were to ever like try painting, to see how fast they could get booted up on it because they already understand what it takes to be able to like learn a creative discipline.
That's also very interesting. Yeah, there's like a bunch of questions that I want.
But like
I'm very
I've
curious.
gone and jumped into like acrylic painting, and I was almost already being able to like do finished work without any training.
Yeah.
So mini painting is a little different because it's on a three-dimensional surface, and it requires like a slightly different set of tools and skills because it's teeny tiny. But I've made some tiny paintings. I've got a couple tiny paintings sitting behind me in the office here.
I don't think I'd ever give you like an actual miniature though. I'd give you like a 1/12 bust. It's like 4 inches. I mean, that's still very small, right? That's not the, but you know,
Yeah,
compared to,
okay.
like,
Not like not like one of those like 70 millimeter little guys.
you know what? This is great content. This is actually insane. What if I gave you my first miniature to paint?
I don't know if that's better content. I think giving me a bust
still a
that you
bust.
think
I
is
mean,
like a
the
good
thing-
one. I would want one that's like I would want one that you would say like this is an excellent thing that like
Well,
you could.
Ideally, I'm making something excellent, Pete.
I know, but you also haven't made it yet. So to like pre-qualify it as excellent, you having never made one before is like difficult to say.
Maybe. I mean, I'll show it to you, and then you can say what you want.
Okay.
And then, but like, if not, like, for sure, there are a few names I could give you, and I'm very curious to see, like, what you do with those.
Because it'd be your rookie effort going up against somebody who's like gone through a lot of reps.
Well, I'm not doing it myself. I'm like paying someone to sculpt it.
Still,
God, it's not me.
I mean, like, it would be the first time you'd be commissioning somebody still.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd be curious to try it out. I think it's good. I think you're right. It is good content to try to get people to do something that's like an adjacent skill. That's how drawing with Jazza got big. Is it was like instead of him getting like mega good at one thing, he just did a ton of videos where he tried to get good, like tried out like a bunch of weird little challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was like content that got him to be like I think the biggest art YouTuber. I think Jazza has the largest channel of anybody who is in the art game.
Jazz, and I'm like,
No.
Jazz
There's a Australian guy named Jazza who
Bigger.
is huge video creator.
I thought the ZHC guy was bigger. I could be wrong though.
I think Jazz is the biggest
top
one.
5 for sure.
The Mr. Beast of art videos.
Oh no, Jazza has the ZHC guy beat by a little bit. They're like right neck and neck. Though.
Really? Only by a little bit? That's crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Pete, you have given me the drive to make an excellent miniature.
Okay.
Drive I already had, but now I'm gonna make.
Now
a
I've
point
shit
of-
talked your miniature that doesn't
You
exist.
have. You shit.
It doesn't. It doesn't exist. I mean, that's. I just know for myself whenever there's a thing that I think is going to be great in the future, but I haven't done it yet. I've like over time gone from feeling exactly like what you've been saying, like no, I'm planning on making it great. It's going to be great. To like being like I will assess it once it's finished.
Yeah, I mean there's something to be said about it. There's also like you have to have a little bit of confidence going into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You always have to aspire to make a good one, but also
Yeah.
like. My experience has been that when I haven't done something before, I always aspire to do it really well, but it always takes me a few reps to get feel like I'm really nailing it.
Luckily, I'm on this particular case. I'm working with Dave Caldwell, who's like an excellent mini painter, and has designed some like excellent miniatures. He's helping me with the design process and the feedback and like the whole process. He's like one of the people that I've spoken to over the last like 5 years. He's helped me a ton, and we've just kind of kept up. And I shot him like I told you about this, but yeah, hopefully with his hand in the pie, it might work out nicely. Hopefully.
Yeah. No, I have confidence you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely next time. There's a Lucas Pina is like just the best miniature maker, I think. I think most painters enjoy painting his pieces the most. I will let you know next time he comes out with something. He comes out with something just about every 3 to 4 months because he does it by hand.
If you want to mail me something that we can set up so that I can set up a little station to go and try to do this on my kitchen table and stream it or whatever. We've got like a good holder that will hold like I've got some ways of being able to like light and shoot like to stream this.
Okay.
So
yeah, for sure.
Give it a shot, see if I can figure out a way to set it up so that it'll work out.
Yeah,
and
I'll let you know.
I'm like over my extra 15 minutes, but I'm like definitely I might get this in at an hour and a half. The study.
Hoorah. What are you gonna do with your other hour and a half?
I might be at just another hour, but I want to start my next painting.
Ooh,
So
exciting.
the plan
Yeah,
is to actually do a new like from imagination painting. I have a sketch already, and I have it scanned. So all I need to do is pull it up, and I can show like give a quick tutorial on how I prep a sketch to go into Photoshop, which was a quest that Jico had yesterday, and then I ended up never demoing. So today is a perfect opportunity to jump into that.
Exciting. Yeah, I saw your finished piece today. It looks good.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not good enough to like really.
I think it's one of the better ones in the series. I'm proud of it. I think it's a good one.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's always exciting.
I'm
Especially like
gonna
when
redo.
you're part of your own work. That's like that's a big deal.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm gonna redo some of the ones in the series before I call it done, and that's not gonna be one of them.
That's awesome.
That's a win. That's a clean win.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah, man. Yeah, the light interaction with the water is. Yeah, that shit's kind of insane. I'm looking at it again now. I didn't really have time to look at it before.
It's fine. I'm just happy that like I'm happy with the overall flow of it, the composition, like the concept of it. Like that's the thing that really matters to me. Like
Right.
I did my best with materials and details and all that kind of stuff, but like the main reason why I'm not going to dump it is because I think that conceptually it works, and that's the thing that ultimately matters. There's some of them that I think like the concept that I went with or the process that I used to make it wasn't something that I want to stick with long term. And this is this tarot deck is going to be with me for like the rest of my art career. So I don't want to like feel like lazy about choices now that I'm going to regret 10 years from now, or even probably immediately regret like a couple years after, or like right away after it's published. Just like looking through it and going like, I could have taken an extra lap on some of these.
That's such a good message, just like in general. Like, I find myself rushing to the finish line a lot, and then I'll finish a miniature, and I'm like, damn, I could have just like taken a break and come back to it and done the extra 20 or 30 hours I needed to on it and been really happy with it. Instead, I didn't.
Yeah.
And now, like,
now it's bad forever.
Yeah, now it's fucked. So whatever. Been there, done that.
Yeah. Now everybody has to know that you failed.
Yep, that's right. And failure.
Messed it up.
All right. I sort of scrubbed from top to bottom of this painting in terms of like just adding detail on a final layer. Like I went from this like underpainting to like scrubbing through it from top to bottom, like head to toe. And I don't hate it. I'm going to take one more little pass on the face though, just because the face here is so interesting. She's got this like kind of like surprised expression. And you know, it's kind of striking, and there's like so much of the white of the eye that's visible. I think that I want to get a little bit of that, because the values that I made on the face here was like kind of where I started with it, and I didn't really like tighten it down, or I didn't feel like I got the broad strokes of it right at any point. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Oh, Jazz, did I tell you about the scam?
No.
That I got the other day? Oh, man. I got a new scam. Like, typically I get, like, a pretty regular stream of scam DMs.
Yeah.
They're all, like, the majority of them these days are all, hey, I'd like to buy your art. And I go, yeah, here's the link to the store. And they go, no, as an NFT, I need you to sign up for this service that no one's ever heard of. And then I'll give you, as soon as you finish signing up, I'm going to hand you like $10,000 for your JPEGs. Right? And it's like, and I'm always, I got one, I was arguing with those guys all the time. I was like going through it over and over again, like waiting for them to like get to the point where they were like insisting I click on a link I wouldn't click on. Just to see if like I could get them and be like, no, here's the link to where you can buy my stuff as NFTs. And then they would be like, no. And I'd be like, oh, what do you mean? Why? What's the problem? And just like play dumb with them. And at one point, I got one of them to give me $20. I was like, well, I just need you to give me like a down payment to show me that you're for real. And they're like, no, I'm for real. You need to prove to me that you're real. And I'm like, no, I don't. Number one, you DM me. And number two, I have like 10 years of history on this account. Like, I do not have to prove shit to some random person in my DMs, like that I'm a real person. So I asked them, I was like, okay, for you to prove that you're real, I need you to send me a down payment of like 10%. And they're like, I'll send you $10. And I was like, great. And then they sent me 10 cents. And I was like, you sent me 10 cents. You must be a scammer. And they're like, no, bro. I need to move money around between my accounts. I'll be right back. And they sent me $20. I was like, awesome. Okay, so what would you like to buy? And they're like, I need you to click on this link. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And they're like, you scammed me. And I'm like, yes, I did. And so Anya didn't like that I was like constantly like she's like talking to me and I'm on my phone like tapping away, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm talking to a scammer. And she's like, stop it, I'm trying to talk to you. So I got it, so it's been a lot of that, but like I got a new one the other day that I thought was interesting. Some guy, I almost want to see if I could pull this up in my email, but I don't want to like dox anything weird by pulling up stuff in my email. But like I got a request to be on a podcast, and the guy's like, oh yeah, this bodybuilder like Robbie something, wants you to come onto his podcast. He's doing a whole multi-day event, online event, and we'll pay you $2,000 to appear on our podcast. And I was like, sick, $2,000 to, like, I get podcast requests every once in a while, so it wasn't that out of pocket for me to like get a podcast request. But getting paid to be on a podcast, like, that doesn't make any sense. I am not that famous. So I was like, the English in this is pretty bad. This ask doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to see it through because you never know, right? Maybe I appear on a shitty podcast and I get $2,000 out of it. That'd be sweet. And I'm not going to click on any fucking weird links. And I got to the point where the guy he's like, okay, well, it's, to do it, I need to make sure that we're all set up on the tech. So we need to do a Zoom call first. And on the Zoom call, I'm going to show you how we do podcasting through Facebook. And I was like, what? Like, nobody, I don't think Facebook has podcasting tools. Facebook is like the closest thing to the everything app we have in the US. But like, I'm almost certain that there is no Facebook podcasting suite. So the guy's like, I need you to join me on the call through a PC or laptop, not on your phone. And I was like, okay, definitely doing my phone then. And he's like screen sharing, and he's like, here, go to business.facebook.com. I'm like, okay, I'm there. And he's like, see my screen here? This is where the online events are. And I was like, that's not an online event. That's a user named online events. Because in the back end of like the business.facebook.com is where you put like, that's where you do all the ad buys. That's like where you go to like purchase paid advertisements. And that's where your ad account lives and your business account. So like that's where you like attach your credit card when you are a creator using Facebook's like ad platform. And so he's like trying to get me to create a new user and then give it permissions. I think that the play was that they were going to try to get me to give this newly created user permissions under the auspice that I was like making it possible for us to do a podcast together. But really what I was doing was handing him my credit card and letting him buy ads using my account.
Yeah.
And so like he was like insisting that I click on this thing, and I was like, yeah, man, cool. And he's like, no, I need you to click on it and like open it up, and like this is how you do podcasts. I was like, this is a business account. That's just a user named online events. Like, it's cool though. And he's like, no, it's not cool. I need you to click on it. And I was like, I'm just here to see what the plan is. Like how you're going to like turn this, like, cause I've never seen this before. And then he hung up. And I'm like, all right. That was the end of that. Yeah. If anybody gets like a paid podcast thing, especially if it's like from a bodybuilder, just like, yeah, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Like, I kind of want to do like a little scam series on my YouTube channel to show like all the different scams I've been offered over the years. Cause I know like if you are a beginning indie artist, you haven't been around through these spaces that much, like it's hard to tell the difference between somebody who's like really interested in doing business with you and like somebody who is just trying to scam you in a super creative way. Like I've seen a lot of shit over the years. So I want to share some of my experiences, I think, at some point.
Oh, damn. That'd be super interesting. Cause I get a lot of those emails and stuff too. I assume everyone does.
Like I want to buy your stuff as an NFT.
Yeah, and like just weird job offers where like the English is kind of broken, and you look at the guy's profile and it's like 2 weeks old, and he's from Indonesia. Like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I just need you to look up this reference material. It's in the PDF in the zip file. Just make sure to open up the zip file on your PC, and you're like, nah, I'm good, thanks, dude.
Yeah, one of the giveaways is like the thing they sent you like is very non-specific. Like they could send this to any artist and it would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like totally for the wrong kind of artist. Like hey, I own a restaurant and I really want you to do some graphics for the restaurant. And you're like, what? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're just my favorite artist in the world and everyone on the staff loves your stuff and we really want you to do some work for the menu. And you're like,
you just
like I've gotten that like 5 times.
Oh man.
And it's always from somebody who is like has like an actual restaurant, it's like all from Instagram accounts that used to be owned by restaurateurs but got like stolen or hacked.
Oh. Damn. Man, they really go all out, scammers these days.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a real full on business. They're pretty good at what they do. So I feel like it's beholden on us to also be good and like know this stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, I normally I just like don't talk to them, but I had one of them like trick me enough that like I replied to them. It's cause they were in a Discord server I joined recently and like had a
Oh.
conversation with a bunch of people in it.
Oh,
Right?
interesting.
So I assumed they were like someone from that call that I don't remember. Right? So I was like, "Oh, hey, you're from that server. What do I know you from? I'm sorry, I don't remember your name." And they just wouldn't answer that question. It turned into like Oblivion NPC dialogue, where like two people are having like different sides of different conversations. So I was like, "Okay, this is giving me like scam vibes." And I like blocked them, but yeah, it was pretty funny. But they'd say things like, "Ah, you're an artist. I have a job for you that is related to art." And it's like no one who's actually hiring
Related.
artists would use that phrasing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I like how they say related and not even like an art job.
I'm always relieved when I get like a scam DM though, because it means it's not legitimate, so I can just ignore it. Thank God.
You're
One
like,
less thing to
I
worry
don't
about."
want to. I don't want to deal with any more commissions right now. I sure hope this is a scam.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I'm done. That one, put it at an hour 35. Not bad. Pretty good for me. I'm really happy with this one though. So, number 47, lucky number 47.
Damn.
Bingo.
Had this for a while at this point. Oh, that did turn out good. I'm gonna spend another 20 minutes or whatever.
Thank you, Summer Dragoness. Yeah, Dammy Killer 37 is saying, for my 3 days of painting experience, be less bothered about getting things right straight away. Just block things out and tweak as you go along. Work from largest areas to smallest. Don't get caught up in detail too early. That's pretty fucking accurate for somebody who's been doing this for 3 days. That's like real insight. A very, very smart idea, and like something that's like not only a good idea but like hard to do in practice continuously. So if you can like keep your eye on that ball, like I think you're gonna do all right.
At it for 3 days, already smarter than most working.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't ever work like that for the first several years of me learning to paint in college, so that's pretty darn good. All right. I remember what I was gonna do. I'm gonna go and post this in dailies while I've before I forget. I don't want to forget. I've been pretty good about it. Oh, I'm gonna post it in my sketchbook thread too. So let's see. every time oh, okay, it's working. Yeah, I was having a problem for a while that my what do you call it? OBS, the OBS scene that I was looking at Discord was like not. I had to like reset it every single time. Damn, some people's dailies are just like full-on paintings. They're just like doing in a day. It's blowing my mind.
Daily painting.
I wonder how many uploads I'm making to like the today is the day thread that like aren't getting used. But so when I see somebody like out there doing one of the references that no one else is doing, it makes me happy. Just a quick study, just making everything look good all real fast. Ooh, Dasha's got a really good one. This one's sweet. Yeah, more Alpha Red. I don't recognize this person's name. It looks like they are doing a study from like an AI. This looks like an AI piece, just like at a distance. And then Jack Lack is out here doing these like cool monster designs every single day.
Yeah.
Jake too. Putting in the work, getting those reps. Wow, the really complicated master study, breaking down like all these figures for like a single day from Muka master study. That's crazy. Oh, and Jack Lack just like, yeah, in addition to like posting new like monster designs every day, just like casually throwing in a cool orc piece. It's casual. And then Ace, what the hell? You continue to be good. I was expecting you're gonna like wash back and be bad again now.
Yeah, I know. This is what
your values are like
this is what happens.
really dialing in. Like you're getting the sense of like you're really building a sense of your values like in a way that's really strong. Like starting there and then like if you were to spend more time with it, you could cut the edges in if you wanted to, but like that's like it's kind of not totally necessary when you have something really loose like this but the values are good. Like you're inches away from just like cutting a couple of edges and then like, you know, blending a couple of things and like you're basically there. It's like getting all this stuff right. The structure and the values is like so much more important. So like, it's cool to see that you're starting with the important stuff. And then we got some booba learning to do some of the like reflective shading, probably a good study. And then I'm gonna throw in my like, I think the first one of this one here, and then I've got my sketchbook thread. They.
Why do people keep track of their days? Oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like they're not even. I had a big gap when I went on vacation, but I'm really happy to have like this number that keeps going up. I'm almost at 50 of these fucking things. I feel like I'm still just getting started too. I don't know how far it's going to go. Like Beeple made $1 billion off of 5,000 dailies. Is that the number I need to do?
Yeah. Imagine how good you'd be after 5,000 daily paintings.
Yeah.
Actually, wasn't people doing like creative stuff? Like he wasn't just doing studies.
Oh yeah, he was making he was making 3D pieces that were all like 3D scenes. A lot of them were using stock assets, but
okay.
Zachalak's at 1,900 dailies.
1,900? Holy shit!
Yeah.
All right.
He does one every day for his Instagram, and it actually goes back several years.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yep.
There's really not a upper limit as to like how many dailies it's like a good idea to do.
Discord keeps making me want to work harder, but then it also keeps distracting me because there's people to hang out with.
That's exactly the problem I'm having, and it's like slowed down me finishing my main paintings, but it's also inspired me to finish 47 dailies.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a mix. But now I'm like, so let's see. Azazel, strength sketch. So here's the sketch that I got for the strength card. And I'm gonna give a little bit of a tour as to like what I'm looking at.
Fucking goat?
Yeah, it's a goat.
Oh my god.
Normally on strength it's like a lion, but Azazel's associated with a goat. I want to do Azazel on here, so it's a goat.
Bro, get out of my space. Goats are my thing. Can you find your own thing?
It's not my thing. It's his thing. It's this my beautiful boy Azazel.
I'm messing.
Take it up with the angel of death or whatever.
Yeah, angel of sacrifices. So he's looking pretty over here. He's got his cool armor on. You can see like this is a 11x14 sheet of paper. I work in mechanical pencil. This is relatively clean for me drawing wise. You can see that there's like a lot of construction marks. I don't bother erasing any of that shit. I think it adds flavor. And there's just like a level of precision that you can see that I'm able to like carve the features with that is just not possible for me digitally. So like, you know, you see me doing dailies and stuff, like it's just never that tight. But like even if you're using like a digital brush in your sketching, you never have marks that like you can see these little tails and things. You're never going to get that in Procreate. It just won't happen. And so like if you're really confident with a pencil, you can get all kinds of like super micro marks that happen naturally through like the confidence of your hand that just like occur as part of the process, which is always beautiful to see. And I just find it so much easier working like this. So one of the things to notice is that like I don't actually like create a composition when I'm doing drawings. I just focus on like the design and the structure. There's even like anatomical problems, like the proportion on like the arm and the like the perspective on it isn't quite right. And I'm just like, I'm gonna do it I'm gonna do it well enough for what I feel like I need, but I'm open to changing those things, whether I'm skewing them or redrawing stuff. But this is really just like a starting point and like a kind of like structure to like build on. So my first step is usually, my first step is I'm going to be tearing out all the white and leaving just the lines. And then the second step is going to be to put this up onto an actual like canvas where I'll start the process of composing it. I never do thumbnails. Like, Amandala saying Android Jones did a self-portrait every day for 5 years. Yeah, that's like sketchbook. Talk about sketchbook threads. I mean, that was from the heyday of sketchbook threads over on CA. So, I've already got this thing saved as a JPEG. This thing's at 600 DPI, so it's already like pretty big. 8400 pixels by 6400 pixels. So, double-clicking background. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get rid of as much of this texture as I can, because like I'm going to try to delete out whatever's purely white, but I don't want to be leaving like all this grain here. So I'm going to be getting rid of things like I'm just going to be blasting anything I don't want on here with pure white. So like my signature, any like bits of crap that are like on the scanner. Like sometimes because like the edges of the scanner like turn the page up, like I get like dark corners. I want to get rid of those. I'm gonna like hit Control L to try to level adjust this to get the lines closer to black, which makes it look less pencil-y and nice. But you know, this is all going from like its own little perfect artifact to being part of a larger process. So we're gonna lose some of the character along the way. And then the right handle here on the levels, I'm pulling up until it gets like down to the base of this hockey stick, because all of this block up here represents all the different light tones, because it's on the right side. And so this is all the paper grain. So this is me blowing out the paper grain and pushing it to pure white. And I want to try to get as much value range as I can out of the lines beyond that. And I don't want to lose any lines, but I do want to get rid of as much of that grain as I can. The other thing I can do to get rid of errant marks and grain is I pull up the dodge tool, which is like under here along with the dodge, the burn, and the sponge tool. And then I set the range to highlights. And when the range is set to highlights, it's going to brighten the lights more than it's going to brighten any of the darks. So it will take like little errant marks and bits of dust and remaining pieces of paper grain, and it will push them to white really easily, while it'll like not do so much to the darker bits in the line. You see, as I go through here, as I use the dodge tool, it'll leave the darkest areas while preserving, while eliminating some of the lighter marks. So I can use this to clean up a few of the errant bits. I've got a piece of. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's on your monitor or if it's on the scan. But it's just keeping things a little cleaner that way.
We're letting everyone post on sketchbooks, right?
The sketchbooks, they're in test mode for a day or so.
Okay.
It's right now. It's just people with special roles. So Twitch subs, big brains, admins, mods, and then server boosters too. I've given them all permission to post with sketchbooks at the time being.
Okay, I'll revert it back. I thought it was opened up, so I'm updating these now.
If I want to check to see how much grain I have, I can make an adjustment layer for levels and then turn the darks all the way up. And you can see once you get things smushed all the way up at the top there, you can actually see, I can turn this on and off, but I can see where I've got extra grain. So if I hit the layer underneath with the dodge tool, you can see how I can actually spot and eliminate any little bits of grain that are close to white but not quite white. So they're not even visible on the monitor, but they're still visible if I exaggerate the overall look of it. So if I want to just clean this up a bit, I can give it a little tippy tap. I usually don't work this hard, but if you feel passionately about it, this is the solution. Especially if you actually have clean lines, which I don't. All right. So now we've got a drawing where it's pure white with just pencil sketch. And so from here, we're going to just do some magic hotkeys. You could probably program this to be like a single Photoshop action. I might actually make a Photoshop action out of it and share it. But to slow it down, to explain what I'm doing here, if you go to channels, you can see that there's 4 channels here, RGB, then red, green, and blue. And they all have little markers next to them, control 2, 3, 4, 5. This is all the different color channels separated. And you can see if you turn on only 2 of the color channels, you get this kind of odd, this is what the thing looks like with the red taken out. It's all cyan in the background. But you can actually select the RGB channel. If you control click it, it's the same as the hotkey that I'm doing, which is control alt 2. And it creates a selection throughout the entire canvas. You could see these marching ants everywhere. And they're kind of accumulating near the darker areas. What it's doing is it's selecting every pixel based off of its value. So a white pixel is getting selected 100%, a black pixel 0%, and then all the gray values in between, which there's 255 gray values. It'll select it, some value between 0 and 255. So a perfect 50% gray pixel will be selected 50%. So we have this dynamic selection that is selecting every pixel based off of its lightness or darkness. And then we just hit delete. And this will fully delete out the white. It will not touch any of the blacks, and it's going to halfway delete all of the grays. So then I'm going to hit Control D to deselect, which I think if you want to do it the manual way, it's under the select here, deselect, Control D. And then we're about halfway there. See, it looks perfectly fine, more or less fine, with a white background. But if we invert this background, you can see that the lines are actually, the gray lines are still gray. It's gray lines against a black background. The gray values are still, they're 50% transparent, but they're still 50% gray. So the darkest marks still look like dark lines, but the in-between ones are kind of gross looking, and this is not useful to us. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock the opacity of the layer. You can do that by hitting the little checker box here next to where it says lock on the layers tab, or you can hit the question mark. That'll also lock that. And then we are going to fill this layer with black. The way to do it with hotkeys is you can hit D to make default colors, which is black foreground, white background. That's how you can select black if you ever need it really fast. And then Alt backspace to fill. There's also, I mean, you can, I think Shift F5 also does fill, and then you can choose foreground color. There's a lot of different ways to do a fill. Alt backspace is the hotkey, I know. And then from there we have now a perfect lines, exactly the same lines from the drawing, dynamically selected down to every single individual pixel. And then now they are 50% transparent where they used to be 50% gray, fully transparent where they used to be white, and then fully opaque where it used to be black. So it's like exactly what you would want if you were ever to want to paint underneath it. So if we wanted to start laying down like a base color here, like, you know, we now have like this perfect line drawing that is interacting exactly the way that we would hope for in order to treat it like a coloring book. So going through it one more time really quick, it's like it's a Control Alt 2 for the selection, delete, Control D to deselect, D to get back to solid black, Alt backspace, whoop, question mark to lock the layer, Alt backspace to fill, and then you can unlock it by hitting that. And then you know, I can either like make the composition here, or I can make a brand new canvas at a particular size and then drag my image into here. So if I wanted to make this at a particular resolution, like let's say I want this to be a 18 by 24 inch painting at 300 dpi, I can set that up, and then I can copy the content of this layer over and bring it into my new composition. And then I'll have a nice clean start to build my composition from a perfectly cleaned up drawing. Image size. What is this resolution? 5400 by 7200. Great. So now I have a perfect composition that's exactly the right size, where the drawing is fully separate, and I've got this perfect clean slate to be able to begin my paintings on. This is how I basically start every single painting. It's a little bit of messing around with dials and knobs to get things going. A little bit technical, but if you do it a few times and you develop muscle memory for it, like once you have a sketch that you like, then you are just a few steps away from being able to like put it into a nice digital canvas and be able to work with it. And you also have like a good high resolution scan of it. I keep the high resolution scan as a separate file, so it's in my archives if I ever need it for anything. And then I have a traditional original that if this becomes somebody's favorite painting, the value of this drawing is very high to them. And so it can be, you know, having this traditional sketch as part of like my workflow gives me this like nice valuable little offshoot. Yeah, I'm gonna do like the clip. Thank you so much for making a clip of that. I can mark it. So that's the tutorial for that, and I'm probably gonna do a produced version of that tutorial as well. Make sure it's cut down to just the info you need, because I find this is something I've done a million times. I've done this on nearly every single painting I've ever made, and I'm probably gonna still use it forever because it's such a clean way of beginning the process. And from here, it's like it's not going to be that different from the way that I do studies, where it's like building up like silhouettes and like establishing a rough background and all that kind of stuff. Basically the same, but I have this starting point of structure that I don't typically have when I'm working with the what I'm doing one of the studies. This could be the very first Huckleberry vid. Yeah, there's a few beginner ones that I want to do. I want to do deleting the white out of a drawing. I want to do like basic Photoshop controls because they're like out of the box. Photoshop doesn't do, you know, there's no understanding of like how valuable the Alt key or the space bar is. So just making a quick video to explain like basic navigation, canvas navigation, and like what the most important tools are and where to find them. I'm going to do that for like first day beginners. I really want to be able to make resources that go all the way back to like day one booting up Photoshop through developing a business as an independent artist, like, or wherever you end up. Like, I want to be able to run the gamut with it, but I really want to start with these like day one beginner tutorials, because I don't want people to fall off the tracks because of some dumb thing where they got weird advice from some YouTuber who is like, making content rather than like, making an art career. Yeah, Jazz, have you ever, you haven't done a lot of traditional, you haven't shown any traditional drawing around here, have you?
No, I haven't shown it around here. I do have several sketchbooks that have like pencil drawings at first, and then a lot of drawings where I just go straight in with pen.
Yeah. Straight in with pen. Bold.
I think I owe like whatever drawing skills I have to that in part. Like it reinforces some really good habits. Like it makes you think more. You kind of have to have like better lines.
Yeah, that's what Ash was saying. It's recommending like just going straight into pen.
Yeah. They like, I don't know, maybe they'll get good at some point, but like a lot of them turn out real bad because like you can't correct your mistakes. But occasionally a good one happens, and it's like it's really good because it has that like pen energy,
Uh-huh.
and everything's in the right place, like, and it's on a page next to like 13 failed drawings or whatever.
OP one, Summer Dragoness wanted to know how long you'll be streaming for the rest of the day.
So I've kind of 2 hours is where like my kind of minimum is. I was gonna maybe mess around with this for a little bit, and then I am definitely not going later than 3. But I was gonna like maybe try to get to like a rough composition with this, cleaning up issues with the drawing and laying in some early values, and then I was gonna bail. Yeah, like my drawings, me not being 100% great with my drawings, I tend to do a lot of like lasso selection and then transform on them to try to get them to like be good for, like, instead of rushing into the painting, I try to make sure that I have the strongest start that I can, and that involves manipulating the drawings so that anything that I don't like about them, I take care of that before I get into the part where I'm trying to do them all the details.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Man, I keep running into this thing where like I do what I think is a good drawing, and then I start painting it. It's like, oh, I was just able to hide the fact that I didn't know how this like form worked. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, those squiggly lines sure do look really good right there. It's like, oh, I have to turn them into something three-dimensional. Damn it.
Yeah, I feel like there is a skill. There's like a soft skill of like learning when you're kidding yourself, and like getting a good sense on like whether or not you really have something locked up or if you're just kidding yourself about it. And I don't know if that's like a skill that I've just got good at later, or if it's something that people like progressively build over their art career. But if it seems super valuable to like know when you are just being delusional, full on delusional about whether or not something's working.
Oh man, I had a like painting that it never got like painted at all a while back, because I sat down and did thumbnails for 2 hours, and I was like, I just spent 2 hours doing like little 2-minute thumbnails. One of these must be good, right? Like if I just pick whichever one is the best, it's automatically
the best
good,
one,
right?
yeah. There's got to be a best one.
I did like 50 of them or whatever,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, and basically it was like a character. From the waist up, it was great, but I had no idea what the legs were. It was just like squiggly lines everywhere and some vague shapes. And so I'm like drawing over the top of this thing, trying to figure out what the legs are and making changes to the original shapes. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And by the time I'm like painting it, it's like, wait, I'm painting a disaster. There's no amount of painting that will like make this drawing good. And I spent all week.
Yep.
Gotta catch it earlier.
You
Not be
gotta
alone.
catch everything you can as early as you can. That's gonna make your whole life easier. Like everybody, there's nobody who's gonna be like who's gonna benefit from like diluting themselves and then like waiting to the last minute to try to fix it. Because like that's the opposite, right? If we're gonna advocate like you should grab it as early as you can and like make the corrections as early as you can. Like the opposite is like I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna make sure that I'm like at the end of the painting and then it's gonna catch me off guard. That's my plan.
You know what I've heard though, every time I've done it, it's kind of worked out. But there's usually like a big time gap between like me getting stuck on a painting, not finishing it, and then going back to it, making major changes, and making something good out of it. But I've
done
heard
that.
that like what you either want to do if like you're in the early stages and it's not working out is like go back to an earlier step or just decide, okay, it's time to start painting destructively and making like major crazy changes that I'm afraid to make.
Oh, both of
Like
those are
changing
real
them
options. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with both of those as real options. Like, it painting super destructively has resulted in some of my best paintings ever. Where I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to assume that this part of the process is like not working out, and I'm going to just go crazy on this thing and try to ruin it. Not just try to make it better, but like actively try to ruin it as part of the process of like fixing it.
I find what's happened to me every time I've done it is that I'm like afraid at first, but then it's like I'm free. I'm free of the
Yeah.
terrible drawing that has oppressed me for the past 7 days.
Yeah. And like there's like a real like sense of liberation that like leads to good creative problem solving. So I've
Yeah.
totally had like good experiences with that. And then the other one is like what going back to an earlier step. There's plenty of times where I'm just like, oh, I was being delusional about how good the values were on this thing. Like I just need to like the reason I can't figure out a color palette is because my values are fucked. And so I go back to like working on the values and then it gets like instantly way better.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's a good idea to spend more than 2 hours on this. I think I just have to call it done.
Oh, more than 2 hours in your study?
Yeah, I spent 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours is like. I mean, after I had already been doing these, I found like a schoolism course from Wouter Talp, and he's like doing 30-minute ones, and like, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I can't even get it down to an hour.
Yeah.
How do
I
you
feel
know?
like it
Okay, here's a
depends.
question from Joby Door. How do you know the difference between this isn't working and I'm not looking at this objectively? Like I think objectively is the wrong word. Because like I don't think there is like an objectively this is working. Because like there's always like 1,000 solutions to it is a really good question, Joby. Thank you. It's like there's always a lot of possible solutions to solving a piece, and it really is personal about how you want to do it. And so like if you can't figure out how to make it work in a way that you find interesting, then you're screwed either way, right? So it's like there is no objective. There is no like looking at it objectively. Like the goal is never to look at it objectively. The goal is to like to figure out in what way you are subjectively kidding yourself. Because like, you can make a bunch of choices and someone can come along and say like, oh, well, what you should have done is this stuff. Like I see like when people are getting crits, they're doing that all the time. Oh, what you should have done is you should have structured all the values totally differently. Let me show you. And like oftentimes it's like, yeah, that's the solution that you, a different artist, would apply to this situation. But it doesn't mean that it's like objectively the correct way to do it. So like oftentimes like you are aiming to do a particular thing, but you're not entirely sure what that thing is. Like you haven't like put it together in your brain, like what you really want out of it. And then you're like looking at it on the page and you're like, I get that it's not doing it, but I also don't know what it's supposed to be doing. And so there's like a lot of like guessing I think the best way to do it is to just sort of guess, like, well, what if it's all about like the fact that I'm using color contrast instead of value contrast? Are there hacks for changing your scene so subjectively or more productive, serving you best? I think like that's what we're talking about is like there's a certain point where you're stuck and you're like, this isn't working, but I don't know what would be working. And like the two big tricks are either A, you start working in ways that are actively destructive to the work. You intentionally try to ruin what's on the canvas to give yourself a new perspective. Or B, you would presume that whatever you did last was the problem and you peel it back to a point where you're satisfied with it. Or you peel it back to the last checkpoint before then and start working on it again from there, presuming that maybe some earlier step is like a problem and that you skipped over it. Like that you presume that you could just push forwards, that you were already ready, but you weren't ready to move on to the next challenge. So those are the ones that we were just talking about. Those are the two big strategies that I found work really well for solving the problem of like, this isn't working, what do I do now? I think that the stepping backwards is most often the like correct, like not correct. It's most often the productive choice. It's like the simplest, easiest like one to recommend. So I always push for that for myself and for anybody else asking me about it. The problem I run into sometimes, somebody like will come to me and they say, hey, I'm stuck on this painting. What should I do? And I'm like, show me the earlier versions. This is usually the first thing I ask. And they'll show me, they'll peel it back. And it'll be like, ooh, the last time you had a handle on this was a long time ago. And they'll go, I know. And they'll be a little sheepish. And they're like, but is there a way to push forward from this point that's already got 30 hours in it? And I'll be like, no. Like, welcome to the game. Like this, that happens a lot. And like, because our desire is to move towards a finish. So stepping backwards is like mentally very uncomfortable. And I think it's something that like you have to develop comfort with over time. Because I remember when I was like earlier in my art career, it felt like impossible. Welcome to the game should be the channel slogan. Maybe. It's like, but like the idea of stepping backwards on a painting felt like so difficult to me. I didn't even want to consider it as like a real possibility. I was like, oh, that's just a thing that my brain says. But it's like, it's the right choice, but it's like I think we emotionally want to resist that. So like the more we can like build comfort with the idea of like taking steps backwards when we're stuck, like the faster you're going to be able to like quickly develop, a productive relationship with that process. Like it'll just become easier. So that's my recommendation. You can always tell when I'm really invested in answering someone's question when I have to stop painting to do it. Like if I have to stop painting, you've hit me with an absolute banger. Because like I'm like trying to measure my words and not say things in absolutes. Like with art advice, there's no absolutes. So like trying to give art advice that is like thoroughly correct and not just like a vibe, it requires like a lot of conditional speech that takes extra mental laps to pull off. You can see like in the studies, I spend a lot of time kind of fiddling with these like these like simple value fields, but like with the lines, they can get blocked in really fast. Like it's really easy to just be like, okay, and then this part's gonna be metal, so I'm gonna start dark with it. Easy, easy, easy. Any good step done well is gonna make the next step like way, way easier. Like that's how you know you've really pulled it off, is because you will go to do the next thing and you'll be like, oh, it's like, it's not even work. It's like obvious what it's supposed to be already. You look at it and you just go like, that's just, I'm not actually being creative. I'm just following the steps now. That's how you know you've absolutely nailed it.
Man, I kind of feel that way whenever I have to do like line art. Like I'm always like, okay, it's just a matter of like following the formula or whatever.
Yeah,
Every
just
time
no. I'm
when
just putting in the time. Who cares? Not creative. Very easy. Like that's a sign that you've just done the previous step really well. And if like you can be on a roll, you can get 2 or 3 of those in a row, and you'll just be like, I didn't even work on this. All I did was finish it.
Yeah, every time I get to the painting phase, does that mean my line art is bad? What the fuck is that?
I think it means that you are putting into the line art what you should be putting into the painting. That's my guess.
That's probably accurate. I'm actually deliberately trying to do that.
One of the part of the reason I work the way I do, where like you can see that my sketch is like kind of not finished. It's because I want to make those choices about the sketch later in the process. Oh, he's got flowers in his hair. I forgot about that. He's going to kill this goat later, but first he's being cute about it right now. Yeah, I leave this sketch partially unfinished because like I'm going to figure out like what the values are at this stage, and also I'm going to have to like shuffle some things around to fix like anatomical errors and whatnot. And then when it comes, I don't get too tight with the values because I'm going to need to be loose with the colors. And like every step is loose right up to the point where I need to finish it. And like the last thing I need to do is like find some edges, carve up some, like define some surface details, things like that. And like, I just don't do that at any point earlier, and then like I just do it at the end, and then I only need to do it once. Like I'm only precise during exactly one step. Every other step is loose. But like leaving room for it at the end means that like I feel like it's easier to like make a really, really rough value study than it is to make a really, really precise value study. It's easier to make a rough sketch than it is to make a tight sketch. And so I'm just doing everything the easy way, and then it's just like, and then in the end, all I need to do is like I have everything solved. I just need to like, put it into, just, and then if it's already there, I just need to like tighten up some edges and do some surface detail and whatnot.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's like, I think a good process is one that doesn't just include things at the right time, but also actively excludes the things that you're not supposed to be doing yet.
So just like not worrying about like lighting and stuff when you're drawing.
Yeah, just like if you don't need to like worry about the lighting in the drawing yet, then like don't draw in the lighting.
Oh, but they're really good art. This is the problem with like art advice, right? Like
It's all conditional.
Any piece of advice you give, right? Like you can think of like 2 or 3 dudes who are like clearly master painters who do the exact opposite of like whatever it is.
100%. 100%.
Like,
yeah, everything's conditional. Like I can tell you something that it'll be 100% true for one example of a master artist, and then 100% false for somebody who is another master artist. Everyone works really differently, but like
I heard a quote once that was like, in terms of like art advice, that like listen to advice, but also the opposite is true.
Yeah,
consider the opposite.
Always consider the opposite.
Yeah, because I don't know. There's art like my favorite artist actually. Like you can tell from his drawings that like he's thinking about the light when he's drawing. There's like form shadows and stuff drawn on the drawing. But I don't know. It always like trips me up really bad whenever I try to do that. But maybe I just haven't done it enough.
No, or maybe you just don't do that. Like, I think you trying to do the shadows and the drawing and thing is, like, part of what's tripping you up on like, all this, like, painting stuff. Mm. Like, if you leave yourself a less lit drawing, I think you're going to have an easier time.
Yeah, I could give it a try. I saved a version of the line art that didn't have all the hatching on it. I'm thinking today I'll just like give myself the rest of the day to like get it done, and like however good it is however good it is, and put it on Twitter and move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe your advice will help. Maybe not.
Maybe
We'll
not.
see.
It's worth trying, and then if you try it and it doesn't pan out, then you'll know not to like listen to that advice. Like it's not a. I'm not going to ask anybody to like mortgage their home to try out this advice, right? It's like we're talking about JPEGs.
I mean, JPEGs are serious business.
JPEGs are a totally serious business. People are trading JPEGs for millions of dollars these days, you know. So.
All right, I need to figure out how to post a thread.
You think this goat's butt would be in the frame here? There should be a little back end of a goat wrapping around behind him. Because it's kind of weird that just the head's poking out over his shoulder, right?
Yeah, that's my instinct, though. You never know. Like, can goats twist their, like, torso or whatever?
Probably. They're kind of stubby. Like, I imagine he's all bunched up here behind the shoulder.
Yeah.
But, like, he could be twisting the other way. I could have him poking out this side, have a little goat tail over here.
Yeah.
I think you should definitely have him poke out a bit.
Over on the right or on the left?
Like, I would say on the left, but maybe it's just me.
I definitely think there's enough going on the left near the wings where you want something on the right for like composition purposes. I liked it on the right a lot more.
It felt easy. It felt more natural on the right because not for compositional reasons. I disagree about that, but just like it's easier to like have the twist of the goat be like this, where because like otherwise he's like stock straight. He's like it's like a taxidermied goat, right? While this way it's like Azazel's leaning in over here and the goat's leaning in over here. So you got like
Mohrbacher, professional goat twist arranger.
Yeah, give that goat an old twisterino. Goats have. Do goats have curly tails?
Agree about the composition.
What? Oh, because it's like I'm perfectly fine leaving this entire area over here be all rest. Like this over here is going to be cloth, but I'm going to leave it. It's going to be really dark, and I'm going to try to like have just like a lot of the tighter details be in here, and I don't really want to add tons of interest outside of it. Like I want to try to flatten a lot of those other things.
What I was saying is that having the goat poking out near the wings pulls away from like the impact of the wings in the empty space.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like I just adding. I don't feel like the right side needs anything added to it. I think that the more stuff I try to put over there, the more I'm like, because like I want the way that I'm laying out the clouds right now, and like this is not even blocked in, so no one can see this. It's just in my head that like. The cloud area up at the top is going to be generally pretty flat, and back here there's not enough in this little window to do a ton to establish like what the clouds look like. So I've kind of just got this space over here to sort of establish this kind of like I want to have like clouds that look like it's a storm that's just passed, and in order to establish some texture, like I kind of need to use this area. So then when I put the goat over there, then I'm like kind of trying to do two things with the same set of space. So it's like over here, I don't really have anything planned that it's going to happen. I mean, I'm going to have some like texture with this grass and whatnot. Like this is going to be, I've got a rock and some grass or whatever to draw that's going to add a little bit of like natural texture. I don't think that like a half faded out goat ass or like a single goat leg or whatever is going to, because like one of the options is that like I have like a rear leg or something of the goat like planted behind him. I don't think that that's going to interrupt too much because like the wing I think I'm going to keep pretty flat and textural. It's not going to be that interesting. And so I just like now I feel like I'm competing. These two bits are sort of competing against each other. So maybe I'll have like the parts where the clouds are more broken up and interesting, like up here a little bit. Move out of the way of the goat ass.
Okay, so this is a situation where I wasn't in your
Yeah. This is like I haven't worked it out, so like I'm doing
Yeah.
a few like rough calculations in my head, like that you guys can't
Gotcha.
see yet, just from like the loose stuff that I'm blocking in. Like I'm trying to get a rough plan of like where, if I can get like a good plan for like where this stuff is all going to go, and then like suggest it just enough where my brain can see it here at this step, I'm going to be in like awesome shape, like coming up to the next thing. Santos is excited. Okay. Yeah. I always wonder who's doing that. Who's like always Miniatures Den. Hey, welcome. I had to unmod you for saying sexy. Speaking of, we had some miniatures talk earlier because here in the chat, Jay is also a big miniatures head. So
He knows who I am.
all right,
Yeah,
so you guys know each other.
Yeah. He knows me as Fancy Sauce.
Oh, okay, cool. I got a meeting coming up tomorrow about the next mini. I got a sculptor who's going to be working on Gadriel, Angel of War, one of my all-time most popular pieces.
I thought you were a ways out because that guy said he was like both really booked and very expensive.
Yeah, and then he's like, but he loves my work, and so he's making time to work with me right away. So we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow, and like, and I told him which one I wanted. He's like, dope. I'm gonna start working on it right now.
That's super exciting.
So it's just like he's excited to work with me, and so he's like putting in some nights and weekends time just to like kind of push forward on it.
You've had it before. It's like a talking to.
That was Jade this time.
Yeah, I had to
add.
mute the Twitch because I was watching both. I got it.
Okay. But yeah, so already I'm like, you can see like I haven't done a lot, but like already there's like a little bit of a sense of space, and like you can start to see where the overlap is going to be, and like kind of what the lighting is going to be. Like I'm going to try to push the light through the middle here. And so I can like, he's got dark hair and dark clothes. And then metal can also, since he's in an environment with like dark clouds above him and stuff, like the metal is going to be reflecting fairly dark. And so I'm just going to have like some highlights through here, some light hitting the face at a glancing angle. And so like, if you look at it up here, you can see it's already starting to like build a little bit of volume and a little bit of sense of what the lighting is. I think I want the goat to also be like half lit like this, where the light's just hitting part of the way here. And then he's probably going to cast a little bit of shadow on the goat too, which will mean that I've got a nice opportunity to create overlap. And then the fur here is going to give a lot of diffuse the light quite a bit, so that can like help like sponge up some of the light and bring it up over in this space. We're going to have a little bit higher contrast. And then this rear shoulder of his, this is going to be tucking in a shadow because it's tucking sort of between the figures, so it's going to be darker. And then like anything that's off over here, like the goat tail and stuff, we can just sort of assume it's going to be diffuse light from the sky or whatever that's going to light that. So like we get this thing where we can kind of like say, oh, there's clouds casting shadows on stuff. That's what's making it dark. So we can make like the horns up here like fade to darkness to give it like a really strong silhouette. But we can also say like, oh, it's cloudy. That's why there's like light to sort of loose in the scene. That's like allowing us to see like the back end of the goat. We really get to play it both ways and cheat a lot if we want to. That's one of the things I love about working on 2D paintings is it's just like it's super forgiving about just cheating your ass off whenever you want to like make things look a certain way for a compositional reason. You can find some like semi-realistic like excuse to make it appear that way. How are we doing here with the dark humor? Is it allowed? I'm gonna say yeah, a bit. Automod is like pretty brutal about checking for languages. Let's see. I like the Edelweiss would be a nice soft choice for a plant to mix with the grass. I'm gonna click on this. Oh yeah, this is good. This is cool. Yeah, some little flowers in here would be really good. He's gonna have flowers in his hair because that's like a callback to the tarot card. This is the strength card. And like it's a girl with a lion, and I think she's got like I'm not sure if she's putting a crown of flowers on. Let me pull it up. For the Rider-Waite deck, I'm trying to draw some of the like some of the symbolism from the Rider-Waite deck. Oh yeah, so she's got like this wreath of flowers around her, and there's a crown of flowers on her head, and then a little infinity symbol above her head as well. And she's taming a lion. And so we've got this kind of pastoral scene. Yellow sky is cool. Like I could definitely see like going with like a golden sky. Could be really interesting for the color palette, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, the little flowers in the hair I think is going to be cool. And right now he's got this tiny little like infinity symbol hanging out over his head like a halo. I don't know what I had planned for that. It's not integrating well yet. I'm going to erase it and then experiment with bringing it back in at a later stage when I'm getting a little bit more precise about things. Because like if I was going to do it, I'd probably like position it over his head a little bit more cleanly. And I'd probably also overlap it with the goat horn so that it wasn't just sitting in a pocket by itself. Like this. But you can see like I haven't really added that many strokes, and there's like a lot. It's added it brings in a lot just to really loosely block this stuff in. So to me it doesn't feel like, if I have a drawing and I have a vision for this, it doesn't feel like work at all to start to add these kinds of things. This whole like part of the picture is just, it feels like a freebie. If I have a good drawing, this part feels free, and if I do this a good job on this, the colors are going to feel free because they're going to like naturally wrap around the value structure very easily, and that's going to leave me with like what feels like a total freebie as far as establishing the color palette. And then if I do a really good job on that, building all those things together, doing the final details is going to feel like a freebie too. So it all just sort of like cascades down from having a strong drawing, which I'm pretty happy with this drawing. So I think like I might be in for a really easy piece where this is just going to like come together fast. Though I'm not going to do it all on stream. It's like way easier for me to like put on a movie and just sort of zone out with this than it is to like talk my way through it. If anybody has any questions, I'm perfectly happy to answer it. I know I've been like talking about my process here. No one wants to interrupt, but I'm going to like try to zone in a little bit on this. And if anybody wants to chit chat about something else, I'm open for it. Oh, also it's like 2:30, so I'm going to be closing the stream down soon. So if anybody has any questions from chat, feel free to like hit me now, and then anybody in the voice chat also. Tomorrow we're going to be doing Community Day. I'm going to look through what we have posted in like the dailies and sketchbook threads, as well as like do another giveaway and like, is mayonnaise art? Yeah. I wouldn't have thought to put vinegar and eggs together to make a delicious paste. Somebody had to come up with that brilliant idea. Say chefs are artists. I'll gladly watch you zone out and paint this. Yeah. But I want for me to feel like I'm gonna get like do this at like 100%. Like I really want to have like a feeling of like peace, and that's gonna require a little solitude.
Yeah.
I'll while I'm working on it, once I've got it more established and I'm like in it, I'm gonna give it another shot to like drawing, or like I'll give it another shot to. There we go. That's what I want. Painting one of my mainline things on stream rather than just a study. What parts of the process do you find more difficult to talk through? The number one hardest point is the drawing. Like, part of the only reason I'm like daring to do anything with like one of my main pieces on the stream is because I already have a sketch for it. It's that, and then finding a color palette. It's like the points where I have the most unknowns are the hardest to talk through it, because like I psych myself out really bad. And instead, I need to feel like I'm working intuitively, and like I'm making choices just without thinking. That I'm letting my subconscious like rise to the surface and participate in the process. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just gonna like overwork it and screw it up. Zodkiel is asking, how do you deal with form rotation when your idea is difficult to get the perspective and forms right? Man, I don't know. Like, I stink at perspective and like drawing things in like very 3D ways. So like I just try to do it as best as I can, and then I try to like avoid drawing things that require me to be too precise about that kind of thing. And so I draw a lot of like organic shapes and organic designs to try to like avoid running into that issue. It's really just like a huge hack. Suburb Dragon is asking, do you put a general idea of light source before you flesh out the lighting and details in the figures? Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing here. I mean, this is a pretty general sense of like lighting and value composition. And so this is like, you can see already there is like a little bit of a sense of lighting, but it's not like lit. It's not like really, it's certainly not rendered. And it builds up over the course of this step, but I try to resist ever getting it to be too precise. The things I want is I want the full range of value, like how dark are things going to get, how light are they going to get, and where are the major transitions happening. Getting like the values like established broadly is really critical to me getting the colors to stick to the painting. So it's important that I don't underdo this step, but it's also important that I never get precise about it, because then it like stiffens up the whole thing and prevents me from working loosely in color, which I need to do to stay experimental and like find the solutions I'm looking for. Chong is asking, what's part in the other piece you recently asked where you had to go off stream? What did you need to figure out? I need to figure out how to pose the hands. I was like having a really hard time posing the hands because they were like holding these really big goblets that were like too big to wrap the fingers around. And so I was like, where do you hold the hand so that it like is able to support the goblet, but also like, because like the goblet was large enough where like the hand would probably largely overlapped, and like the way it was posed, there might be some intersection issues, and I needed to figure out like what I was going to sacrifice and what I was going to keep. And at the end, I'm like not certain I came up with like an excellent, elegant solution. Like I'm sure like somebody who knows their stuff could look at it and instantly nitpick it and say like those hands are trash. But it was, the main thing is like I wanted to position the goblets where I had them. I wanted to keep a lot of the compositional stuff where it was, and I just needed to get something that like felt like it worked for the hands and move on. And like that's a little bit of an embarrassing process to be like, I'm not doing this right. I'm just doing it good enough, and I'm going forwards. And so when I'm uncomfortable like that, it's especially hard to paint in public. Any advice with losing motivation to create your own art because you work on someone else's art all day for work? You know, I hear this periodically. It's not something I have a ton of experience with because I haven't had like a job working for other people in a really long time. When I had a job, I was like always trying to make some time for personal work, especially like the times I think I had the easiest time like getting back to a project. Like I wasn't always just creating new stuff for myself. Like I think that when I was really jumping back in was when I had like a goal in mind. So it couldn't just be like generalized working for myself. It had to be like a singular piece. I was making a piece for a thing, for a reason. So like I was either taking a class, or I was trying to create a portfolio piece to get a certain new type of job that I wasn't able to access before, or I was like working on a series that I wanted to complete for an event. So it was about turning it into an assignment rather than like having it be a generalized idea of like working for myself. So I would say if you can figure out a way to turn it into a different kind of job, the one where you kind of split yourself in half and you're your own boss, I think that's the key. Because that's also like long-term what I've needed to do as well. I'm not just like waking up and deciding whatever I want to paint that day. Like I need to like, I have a long-term plan and I'm trying to follow that long-term plan and figure out how each piece fits into it. You know, because that's how I'm able to like continue to do this for many, many years in a row. Summer Dragoness is asking, do you work on commissions from home or at an office? If you work from home, try to find somewhere else in your studio space that's your own to work on your own art from. I tend to go out and sit in a balcony, get away from the desk, which helps focus solely on my own ideas and motivate me. It also takes me away from the workspace where I have less motivation for commissions. Yeah, I would like work on private art like at my desk, and then when I was splitting my time between professional work and personal work, I had an office. Like I was working in a studio. So I'd get to come home and it'd be nights and weekends at home. It was a very different work environment. I don't think I've ever had the issue where I'm splitting a lot of time between commercial work and personal work. Like, because the time where I've done commercial work while I've been freelance, I've been like, I'll just sort of, it's never been so much that I need to like have a different space for it. The midday nap is my life hack. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, that was the reply. Get it? Oh, you work in a sculpture studio and go in every day? Huh? Yeah, for me, being able to like work consistently at home also comes from me creating like a lot of comfort in the space that I'm working in. I have a lot of like bits of gear and like a nice chair and like the number of monitors that I want, and I surround myself with all the things that like make it easier for me to work when I'm in my workspace. Because like I know some people just try to do it wherever, and like I know you don't always have options. Not everyone has options, but if you do have options, being able to like make sure that you are taking good care of yourself in your home office helps a lot as far as productivity is concerned. Because like we treat ourselves pretty poorly as bosses in most cases. So I think the better you can treat yourself as a boss to try to like make your work area nice and like make the time that you're spending working nice, the easier it is to like put in the hours there because you're not dreading it. I look forward to stepping into my office and work these days because I got it set up nice. There was a while where I had a really shit chair and like it was too hot and there was all sorts of little problems, and so whatever other minor problems I was dealing with in terms of like me being stressed out about the work or like how good I was or anything compounded on top of all the physical discomforts, which made it like extra difficult.
I have a question. How the fuck do I change my password in Discord?
I don't know. You asking me how anything on Discord works? You're shit out of luck.
Oh, Jazz, if you click on settings, user settings, under my account, there's the part that says password on authentication. If you click on settings.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it it tells me to put in my old password, which I don't remember. That's why I want to change
Oops.
the new one. I thought I remembered it, but I guess I don't. I mean,
I recommend
tab-
everyone use a freaking password manager. Use like Bitwarden or what's the one? KeePass. I can always remember it because it's like keep ass. Keep your don't lose your ass.
Bitwarden.
Use KeePass.
since I started managing like a whole bunch of like different social media accounts or whatever, right? Like I figured like, okay, I need to have like some way of managing all these passwords, otherwise I'm never going to remember them. So I do have a system for that. The trouble is any account that I made before I implemented that system, it's a crapshoot whether or not I happen to know the password. And unfortunately Discord is one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Getting all the password stuff straight and getting it all be procedural passwords that are like different from each other has been awesome. Especially since like I did over the years get a couple of accounts hacked through password stuffing. Like I'd get a password compromise from a data breach, and then like my PSN account, I'd lose my PSN account for a week or whatever. I'd be like, what the fuck, I had to like get a new PSN account because when I got it back, they wouldn't let me make purchases on it and shit.
Oh damn.
So I have like 2
Did
PSN
you-
accounts.
Jazz, did you save your backup codes?
I don't know what a backup code is.
Oh god.
So the answer is no.
Yeah, under user settings also there's the part that says where is that with the backup codes? But yeah, you should be able to use those. There's a finite number, and hopefully they'll let you use those.
Okay, all right. Sorry, where is it? Is it in my emails or in user settings? I'm confused. I was like, all right, yeah, I understand, but that's just a thing I said reflexively. I didn't understand. Um, if I just log out of my Discord,
You're never coming back is what is going to happen.
fuck. Dustin,
I'll
let
see
me.
if I could dig up those codes for you. I'll DM you and stuff.
All right, let me DM you my email address as well in case. The worst shit. I accidentally lock myself out of my Discord.
And Jazz was never seen again.
Yeah. He was carried off by a pack of gay Australians.
As it happens.
Oh yeah, the Discord. Is the Discord link only for Patreon members? No. The Discord is open for everybody. We're gonna have a subscription. Like we are like adding some extra features for people who are subbed here on Twitch. So if you've got a Prime sub, if you're a Prime subscriber and you just want to get a few extra perks and support like our project here, like you can toss us a Prime sub for free basically. And then, you'll get access to features a little early or like get your name a different color or shit like that. And then we're going to have like the option to subscribe directly to us and in the coming week or so. Is the first weekly challenge starting tomorrow? It is, yeah. So we're going to do a weekly challenge where it's like drawing from imagination because we currently have like the daily studies where you can be working from like a reference, and I'm just like kind of assuming you guys are doing that in addition to making your own stuff from imagination because like that's kind of what everyone's shooting for. But rather than take it for granted, I want to make like a structured activity for people to like do it together, and then the sketchbooks will, so like anything you do like truly for yourself, you got the sketchbooks for that, and then when we've got the weekly challenges, so it is an opportunity for us to all like play around with prompts, the same prompts together.
Oh god, yeah, same prompts. I was talking to Dustin. I was listening.
Yeah, this is about where like my rough values usually end. I haven't looked up any reference or whatever. But I'm probably gonna get into it a little deeper before I like jump over into color. But I'm also just like, I want a break and a snack. So I'm gonna log out for today, and we're gonna do community day tomorrow. Double John asks, as a noob, I've been messing around with a lot of work processes that didn't work. Yep. And like some of these things, like you can try them now and like they won't click for you, and then you can try them again later and they will mesh with some other skill that you built up over time. So like you don't need to, just because something doesn't work doesn't mean you should like write it off forever. I would just say like try everything out, see what works for you, and then like keep it in the back of your head that you might want to come back to it at some future event, because there's like, you as a artist are always going to be changing and need different things. Okay. Yep. I think I'm gonna call it here. Thanks everyone for showing up today. We need to raid. Dustin is on it. Snowmerite. So I'll see you over on the other side of the raid. I'll come hang out over there for a little bit before I log out. Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye. Stop streaming now.